Now, the same journalist, Peter Louis Myburg, has dropped another bombshell, a secretly recorded video of IDT CEO Tebogo Malaka and spokesperson Pasha Magolane offering him 60,000 rand in cash to squash his reporting. McPherson says this incident leads him to believe that he's been part of a paid-for public campaign to discredit his efforts to bring stability and good governance to the entity. The forensic report recommended disciplinary action against Malaka for irregularities in the oxygen supply tender. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The Alexandra Magistrates Court has heard that if the man accused of orchestrating DJ Somebody's murder is released on bail, witnesses will go into hiding. Controversial businessman Katiso Molefe was in court applying for formal bail yesterday. He's been charged with the murder of the popular musician whose real name is Opa Sifoka in 2022. Sifoka was killed with two of his bodyguards and another musician, Hector Buthelezi, who was known as DJ Fintos. The state believes Molefe is the mastermind and has been charged alongside three alleged hitmen. Khomotso Modise has more.
In an affidavit, the lead investigator, who cannot be named for safety concerns, told the court that Katiso Molefe is not only a dangerous criminal who has no regard for human life, but is also capable of interfering with the criminal justice system. The sergeant has told the court that Molefe previously promised the family members of his co-accused that they would be granted bail in a different murder case against them.
On the 15th of July 2024, the applicant sent his wife a text message written, appearance for bail application today, next court appearance. Bail will be granted for him.
The sergeant has also told the court that witnesses have expressed their fear over Molefe's release on bail and are likely to go into hiding to avoid testifying against him in court. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News in Alexandra.
While the national dialogue is likely to add pressure on government's growing to-do list, ordinary South Africans are also being urged to pick up the slack and contribute towards rebuilding the country. The dialogue next week is likely to bring into sharp focus the many wrongs that have transpired since the dawn of democracy. Some citizens gathered for the 702 People Dialogue yesterday, and they called for a closing of the social gaps and for South Africans to meet each other halfway. Ntokozo Kumalo reports.
In just 3 hours, South Africans held a robust conversation, weighing in on the country's challenges while at the same time proposing possible solutions. All of these aimed at getting the country closer to Vision 2030 as laid out in the National Development Plan. The NPD, which was drafted well over a decade ago, has hit many hurdles and now seems further away from achieving its goal of improving the socio-economic condition in the country. Those in attendance called for more active citizenry. Chairperson of Ubuntu Culture Heritage Foundation, Montwa Kumalo.
What we have done in our space is to say we are the government, the people of Tembisa. That's why we said no to the fixed tariff, because we attended to the NERSA public consultation in November last year.
Kumalo adds that young people must understand how policies shape their environment and then become part of the change they wish to see. Ntokozo Kumalo, Eyewitness News.
And US President Donald Trump has hit India with additional steep tariffs for buying oil from Russia. The 25% tariff on Indian goods coming into place in 3 weeks is in addition to a 25% duty that's coming into effect today. This is part of Trump's campaign to force Russia to end its 3-year-long devastating invasion of Ukraine. India says it started importing oil from Russia as traditional supplies were diverted to Europe. The country's foreign ministry has condemned Trump's announcement, calling the move unfair, unjustified and unreasonable. Gold is trading at $3,375.66 an ounce. The rand is at 17.80 to the dollar, 23.71 to the pound, 20.69 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.64 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North right at the Gilulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic in Deep Kloof. This is along Chris Honey Road towards Nicholas Street. This is due to an accident. Please be on the lookout there.
In your sport, the PSL coach is expecting Kaizer Chiefs to be a strong side to beat this season. Song Hyung-min signs for LAFC in a record MLS deal. The US Open's $90 million prize purse is a record in tennis history. And the prodigal son, Brendan Taylor, returns for Zimbabwe at the second test with New Zealand today.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers today. Johannesburg starting at 5 degrees, peaking at 15. Pretoria 8 and 15 as well. Vereeniging 16 and 15 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson is today expected to lay a criminal complaint against suspended Independent Development Trust CEO Tebogo Malaka.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko are back, celebrating local business, backed by you. Submit your nomination now on primediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's a Thursday. It's a
No.
No, I just want to frighten those people who thought, what? What do you mean? No, it's a Thursday. One more day. One more before we get to the weekend. Welcome to the show. It's the 7th of August, the year of our Lord 2025. Good morning, 702 Landers, wherever you're listening to us from. Henley on Klip. Are you in Nigel? Are you in Bronkhorstspruit? Muldersdrift? Magaliesburg? Walkerville? Zitobeni? Are you in Dalmas? Are you in Cullinan? Wherever you are around the world, we are the station that aims to reach you. Welcome one, welcome all. I'm not alone. You've already heard the objections of one Mutero Kharipe there, with business news and so much more. Good morning, young man.
Morning, Bongs. I wouldn't want to be a CEO these days, especially over like an international company, given what, the amount of announcement coming out of the White House. Every time I wake up at like 3 or whatever, some CEO is in trouble or having a headache because of something Trump has trumped up, and he's thought this is going to work for America and this is the way we're going, and all of a sudden you're in trouble.
We've got a couple of clips from at least one CEO trying to curry favor with Donald Trump, and it does seem to be working. It does seem to be working, at least for Tim Cook. We'll tell you about conversations they've been having. That's coming up. Amuramila, they took us safely.
Good morning, 702 Landers. Good morning, Bongs. In your track suit, once more.
It's a suit.
No, it's a track outfit.
Go away. Go away.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
As always, our mission is to tell you what's going on in the world. You tell us what's happening in yours. On our menu today, we start with Ground Up. We've got, of course, an arrangement with them. They're a fantastic investigative outfit. They don't have paywalls behind their content, and they're really doing it for the public good, essentially. So they're going to tell us about one hapless individual who has been called a border hopper by Home Affairs officials. She's been stateless since birth, and it took the intervention of civil society organizations and even retired Justice Johan Krichler to get her assistance. But can you imagine not having any formal papers? You've spent all your life in South Africa, but you don't exist. Can you imagine being a ghost? You can't open a bank account. Nobody knows you officially on any records. You just don't exist.
You're not even a number.
You're not even a number.
Wow.
You could call yourself Stacy or Susan or any other name on any given day. Nobody, officially at least, could dispute it. What kind of life has this individual been living? Daniel Steyn, a ground-up journalist, will tell us all about that story and a couple of others. We're also going to be talking of CEOs, Muteo. Leah Potgieter, a DA MP, in a parliamentary question, wanted to know, what do these CEOs of state-owned entities actually get paid? And she was given a list that she says is quite staggering, not least because her argument is that many of these state-owned entities are in trouble and are failing to execute on their core mandates. So why should they get these packages? And I'm going to read some of some of these remuneration packages, for example, right? The annual pay for the CEO of Rand Water is 5.4 million rand, right? We've spoken enough about Petro SA and its difficulties. Do you remember there's that new entity now that they're all going to be merged into? The current CEO of Petro SA earns 5.8 million rand. That and the Central Energy Fund are going to be amalgamated into a new entity to try and deal with our energy needs in South Africa insofar as fuel is concerned. But for their trouble, the CEO of the Central Energy Fund currently earns 6.15 million rand, right? Ooh, the Road Accident Fund, there we go, 7.1 million rand. PRASA earns 7.8 million rand. And I think the top figure we have here is the Development Bank of South Africa CEO, who earns a smattering 15.5 million rand. So that means in their account, 1.29 million goes in, or the equivalent of 42,000 rand a day. Now, that's a lot of money. But on the other hand, Nigel, what do the CEOs of private sector companies get? Let's take, for example, the CEO of Eskom. Dan Marokane has done a fantastic job to turn things around. The lights are on. When last did you worry about load shedding? Sweetie, pay that man any amount he wants to keep those lights on. Many of these CEOs are in those jobs dealing with inherited disasters when there were attempts to hollow out those institutions and to steal from them. You want the rails firing? You want the ports working? You better make sure whoever you get in there to fix that mess earns top dollar. Or do you look at it and say, aye, not with taxpayer funds? We'll have that conversation with Leah Potgieter after 7 o'clock. We're also going to be telling you just before 9 about the South African Literary Awards celebrating young women authors this Women's Month.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Here's a question. Amo and Muteo, what's the most awkward thing somebody's ever asked you for? Africa Melania said it was being asked to MC at a wedding of a couple he didn't know. He knew at least the groom, but the bride, he only met her as she walked down the aisle. But he has to, as the MC of their wedding, represent both of them. And he just didn't know the bride. And it was somewhat awkward, but he had to do his best. Siamtanda Matiso, our producer, says one of her friends wanted to borrow, or it was a cousin, I think, wanted to borrow a wig of hers to go grooving with it. This is the one she puts on when she's called into Jonathan Proctor's office, the Prime Media CEO, when she's wearing that suit with high heels, right? This is the one she puts on when we're going to interview the president. And this friend thinks, oh, cousin, groove. Let's go groove with it. You show me, I'll wear it with that red mini skirt of mine. And says like, maybe someone wanted to borrow your car for the weekend, right? We're driving to the Eastern Cape. You've got an SUV. Show me, can we use your car? You're not coming, by the way.
You're not invited.
You're not coming. But show me, can we use your car? It's got, better boot space. I'll leave my Corolla with you. Let me use your Jeep. What's the most awkward thing you've been asked for, Amo?
My shoes. If you know me, I don't wear high heels every day. Yeah, I don't wear high heels every day, particularly because I'm comfortable enough with like flat shoes, sneakers and what have you. On that particular day, I was wearing my high heels because there was an event that I was attending. And then later on, we were regrouping with our friends for some drinks and what have you. So I went with my high heels and they looked so beautiful. And a friend of mine said, oh, please can I borrow them? I'm going to a wedding tomorrow. And this is the exact shoe that I need for that outfit. And I said, maybe not, because this is my Sunday shoe, if you were to call it.
Your church shoes.
My church shoes. I cannot. And then she went on to steal from me
The shoes?
Yes, it was so awkward because later on I got changed into my flat shoes and then I put my high heels into my bag. And then the next day I was at home. It was a weekend and I was looking for my high heels. They were not there. And then I had to like, hey, girl, please can I have my shoes back? And she actually wore them and took pictures.
I'm going to hope. I'm really going to hope this is in your much younger days.
Yeah,
you were much younger. All right. Some relief on that one. Muteo, most awkward thing you've been asked for?
I accompanied my mother to a funeral. I didn't know the person that had passed, and I was asked to read the obituary. And I knew she had something to do with it. I don't know
want that
this person.
702 English.
I don't know their life.
That business English, that business news. Yeah, Muteo, that TV English of yours.
Can you imagine also discovering this person's story as you read it? It was one of the most awkward things I've had to do.
And was it well written?
No, I was editing as I was reading it. But I think obituaries are never well written, guys. Sometimes.
We'll explain why we're asking that question coming up. But we could have a little bit of fun. What's the most awkward request you've ever received?
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Keeping an eye, of course, on Eyewitness News. This story of the attempt to bribe the journalist Peter Louis Myburgh, you remember we spoke to him yesterday. The Public Works Minister, Dean McPherson, today expected to lay a criminal complaint against the suspended IDT, this is the Independent Development Trust CEO, Tebogo Malaga. And it's just a week, of course, since McPherson released the findings of that forensic report into the IDT, essentially saying that, this woman is in trouble. This woman is in trouble, and it's expected today she's going to be in even bigger hot water. I don't know what she was thinking. I do not know what she was thinking. I mean, when you're offering somebody a bribe, they take a picture of the money you are offering them. And then they stand up and they walk away. I wonder what she thought in that moment.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Muteo, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know from you and the 702 landers, are you good at pausing and stepping back when things aren't going well? When life is lifing, are you able to say, okay, I'm stepping back, I'm going to let this period pass and then I'll deal with it afterwards? Or are you one of those people that get panicked and you try to solve everything immediately? You can't just deal with the discomfort.
I think it depends. I've done both. Where I thought, better tackle this one head on. There are times I've panicked and thought, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Does this mean the end of everything? I think it depends on the situation, really.
It does depend on the situation, but I've done both as well, where I would lay off some work because maybe my son is sick and I need to attend to them, be the homeschool teacher because now here he's ailing and he still has to continue with school and life has to continue, but it's fine. I won't make that extra cash as long as he's fine. So I would say, yeah.
Oh, super mom.
I'll tell you why I'm asking.
You are so nurturing. I love that about you.
702.
Weather.
20 after 6, what conditions can you expect this Thursday? Temperatures in Joburg 5 and 15, Pretoria 8 and 15, Vereeniging also maxes at 15. So it's going to be a bit of a brrr one leading to the weekend. A partly cloudy day in store for Cape Town. Your high there is 16. It's the same for Bloemfontein. Durban, Gqeberha and East London, all those coastal cities maxing at 19 degrees, as does Mbombela.
EWN traffic.
All right, let's have a first look at those roads. Amo, what are you seeing?
Well, Bongani, we've got two major accidents as you are leaving the Diepkloof area. We've got an accident right near the Nicholas Street on Chris Hani Road. And if you know, this is a very busy route towards the Bara Taxi rank, as well as the road that leads you out of Soweto towards the N1. So please be on the lookout there. If you're traveling in Clayville, another accident reported on Olifantsfontein Road. This is right near Main Road, causing heavy traffic volumes. As a result, Republic Road in itself is backed up because of the scene. And then, of course, we do have peak time delays on the N1 South towards Midrand, approaching Samrand Avenue. If you do see anything else on the roads, we're on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Women's sport and investment focus. From women's sport to private equity in entertainment. The Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass brings world-class learning to South Africa. Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albuser will unpack the New York Liberty's WNBA turnaround, Redbird Capital's bold moves with Paramount and AC Milan, and more. It's happening on the 11th and 12th of August at the Maslow Hotel. Tickets available now on Ticketmaster.
702 delivers
On the matters that matter to you.
I'm Nathan Ilunga. I'm Congolese, and one thing I love about 702 is the open line on Clement Manetela show and the Healing Hour. Overall, what I like most about the station is the different topic they cover. They broaden your mind and push you to think. They help you to become a critical thinker. So that's why I listen to 702.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and leading sponsor of the B20 Summit, the Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
When you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation. Women have a remarkable way of multiplying whatever is placed in their hands. This August, we're celebrating Women's Month with the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We reflect and honor the courageous women of 1956 who took a stand against the injustices of the past. We also recognize and celebrate all South African women who continue to lead, build, and inspire across every part of our society, from business and education to peace building and beyond. Yes, there is still much to be done. The pursuit to achieving total gender equality and empowerment will continue until every woman is able to enjoy the benefits of a safe and just society. #Rekaufela Basadi. Women's Month 2025. A message by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Did you ever work in the UK? If you did for at least 3 years and you're under 67, you can get a guaranteed UK state pension worth up to 5 million rand over a typical retirement for just a small payment directly to UK revenue. Most people get 40 rand back for every rand they pay in. There's a big queue at UK revenue as this opportunity may end soon, so act fast. Call Extra Pension in Cape Town or see extrapension.com. Mind your UK pension and it'll mind you. Service fees apply.
For the first time ever, the G20 Summit is being hosted on African soil. A global moment of solidarity, equality, and sustainability with Africa at the center. So tune in on Friday for the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702. It's brought to you by RMB and FNB. It'll start next week, Friday. These, of course, are proud sponsors of this year's G20 Summit. And you can catch 702 Breakfast tomorrow. We'll have Nana Piri, the head of corporate client group at RMB, sharing expert views on how Africa's voice is shaping global conversations. RMB and FNB are divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
25 minutes after 6 o'clock. Things you need to know at this hour. Gauteng police have closed the investigation of the missing 465,000 Rand Citibank mayoral chain after the NPA declined to prosecute with no arrests made. Do you remember that we told you about this? It disappeared in 2023 after the State of the District address. Despite security measures, no explanation or suspects have emerged. You remember, of course, when the mayor was given this chain and after the address, they were asked for it back because it's placed in a secure vault. They wanted to keep it on. And when the next day, Mayor, how? The chains had disappeared. And it costs 465,000 Rand. No harm, no foul, say the police. Nobody's been caught, nobody's been arrested, nobody's been charged. Welcome to South Africa. Have you ever lost something really, really valuable that just kind of disappeared in your home, that almost made you question your friends or the people you are around, your inner circle. And when something goes missing in your house, who do you first suspect? The kids? The dog? That one cousin who's always just somehow popping in? If something were to go missing, who do you think would be the most likely culprit? I'd love to know. So, we are looking at a story from Adam Gilchrist. Italy approving 13.5 billion rand constructing the world's longest single-span bridge connecting Sicily to the mainland. And it's set for completion by the year 2032. 100,000 jobs are expected it will generate. Adam Gilchrist will tell us more about that in The World View. And guess who's turning 50 today? Born on this day in 1975. Charlize, well, do we still call her Theron or do we have to say Theron? That whole thing about you say a person's name the way they say it. She's not Theron, she's Theron. Charlize, doesn't matter whether you call her Theron or Theron or Tron. She is celebrating her 50th birthday today. The Oscar-winning South African actress rose to fame, most notably, I think, in The Devil's Advocate, playing alongside Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. She won an Oscar for Monster. She started her career as a model and as a ballet dancer before she shifted to acting. And on this day in 2001, Usher released his highly anticipated third studio album named 8701.
But I got something to tell you. Listen. See the thing about you that caught my eye.
Do you know why it was called 8701? It was released on August the 7th, 2001. That is the most uncreative name for an album. 8701. But we still reminded her of a girl he once knew.
702.
The newspapers.
Listen, you remind me of a guy that I...
Okay,
what's in the papers?
All right, good morning. Is there anyone's house you wouldn't want to go back to? That horrible aunt, an ex, or maybe your in-laws? Imagine being stuck there for like 2 months. More than 2 months. Almost 3 months. So there's a story in the Sowetan of this prisoner who had to stay for 2 more months in prison despite the court releasing him. So he was in prison. He spent 8 years in prison.
Yeah.
He then appealed his sentence and conviction, and the court then granted him release. They said, you are free to go on this very same day we're making this order.
Yeah.
But the Justice Department then made a blunder because it delayed in sending his warrant of liberation to the correctional services departments so they can note that this person is no longer a prisoner. Because of that blunder, he had to stay 2 more months in prison.
Jail?
Yeah. Despite the court,
me he sued.
Despite the court saying, you are free to go.
Tell me he sued.
He sued, and recently the Mbombela High Court in Mpumalanga has granted him a reward of 750,000 rand because of that.
I wonder how much or how soon he'll get that money. I hope there's no delay, right, in giving him that money. The front page of the Sowetan, Enoch warns wasteful metros. This is the finance minister taking a hard line against 5 cities for poor financial management. The Citizen has a rather dramatic picture on its front page. Zama-zamas, it's all about schools in danger. And they're talking about how illegal mining and dolomitic ground are leaving several Gauteng institutions on shaky ground. But I want to talk about the front page of the Business Day. We know as South Africans, we are a nation of boozers, binge drinkers, and there's a proposal by Treasury to set the sale of alcohol per unit to have a bottom price. In other words, you may not sell any form of alcohol below a specific price. SAB is warning if you do that, if you make alcohol more expensive, you're going to simply drive up the illicit trade, and out will go the checks and balances, out will go the safety considerations that legitimate producers have to consider, and possibly people will get even more addicted. How do we solve our booze problem? If we hike the prices, the illicit trade will flourish. But it's, at the same time, we know our abuse of alcohol costs millions, both in terms of health, the system, damaged infrastructure, but also lives lost.
EWN Business.
I said both, and then I mentioned three things. Anyhow, Muteo, are you good at pausing or stepping back when things aren't going well? Do you take the discomfort and fix it? Or do you wait and see? What prompts that question?
Bongani global resources giant Glencore has reported a $655 million loss for the 6 months for the year. That's over 11 billion rand that they've lost over the 6 months to the year. This is more than double the $233 million lost in the previous year of 2024. Now, core earnings at its mining division also sank by 17% to $5.4 billion. The company is facing a perfect storm of challenges over the reporting period, including lower coal prices and lower copper volumes as well. At the same time, the company has been thrown another curveball by the higher U.S. tariffs. Glencore exports a variety of commodities to the U.S., including metals, minerals, and energy products. In its commodity trading division, profit before interest and tax was down 8% to $1.4 billion. Glencore says, however, it was an overall solid result against a macroeconomic environment that was heavily influenced by U.S. tariff policies, but they're willing to wait it out and see whether the market will turn.
I love our listeners. So clever. Nelisiwe, I see you from Spain. A number of you watching us on our YouTube feed. Here's one from Fezile for you, Muteo. Fezile wants to know what Moody's rating of America and Israel are because, of course, South Africa was downgraded because we didn't fix our finances. In other words, what does all of this geopolitical risk mean for those two countries? You'll come back with that answer a little later.
Sure.
But I thought it's a fascinating question.
An interesting question.
Interpreting these challenges around the world in terms of what the ratings agencies say about those countries. Where's the rand?
17 rand 76 cents against the US dollar, 20 rand 73 against the euro, and a 23 rand 73 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,378 an ounce, so while platinum is at $1,333. Brent crude at $67.46 a barrel. More business after 7.
Let's go straight to the news desk. Fisazulu, what on earth are our kids up to?
Yeah, Bongani, it's a concerning story this morning. 5 pupils have been arrested for allegedly setting a fire that destroyed 2 classrooms at a school in Krugersdorp. It's alleged that they started the blaze yesterday because they were not happy with changes to the school's timetable. The Tutolifa Secondary School made the changes to ensure that the pupils complete their syllabus on time and to also have enough time for revision ahead of the matric preliminary exams. Gauteng Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona.
MEC has condemned this incident in the strongest possible term and indicated that burning a classroom is not a form of protest. It's actually a criminal matter. All those that did this, they need to face the criminal justice.
The City of Tshwane says it's already acted on some of the demands outlined by Municipal Workers Union SAMU following a march in the capital. SAMU is demanding a follow-through on an agreement for a 3.5% salary hike in 2021 and another 4.5% increase in 2023. The union also wants dismissed municipal workers who fought for the same cause in 2021 to be reinstated. Corporate and Shared Services MMC Kholofelo Mohwadi says some of the union's demands have already been dealt with.
They've mentioned that they want us to build internal capacity. They spoke about insourcing cleaners. We've already done that. We've insourced 100 cleaners. We are going into our second phase now in September, insourcing more cleaners. So that's done. So that's just giving them that information.
The Mthatha High Court in the Eastern Cape is set to call more witnesses this morning in the Lusikisiki mass murder trial. Yesterday, 2 witnesses completed their testimonies about the attack of 18 people in Gobozana village last year. 6 men have been accused of the mass murder and face charges including conspiracy to commit murder. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
For the first time since the trial got underway last week, yesterday the court heard testimony about the brutal Ngobozana village killings. One of the witnesses is among those who survived the killing when gunmen stormed their home and opened fire. She gave full testimony while in tears, recalling the violent incident that claimed the life of her only daughter, Ruth King. She says the last memory she has of the night is her child crying for help before being shot. Meanwhile, another witness whose wife was killed in the attack says the incident left him with trauma. New witnesses are set to take to the stand in the matter to give their accounts of the ordeal. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape.
And thousands of U.S. air passengers have faced delays after United Airlines halted many departures in the wake of a system-wide problem. So-called mainline flights, those moving between major hubs, were grounded for over an hour before engineers were able to get things up and running again. The Federal Aviation Administration, which regulates flights in the United States, had issued ground stops of several major airports, and the outage was the latest problem to hit America's aviation sector. A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 6 and 8, peaking at highs of 15 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident reported in Benoni along the N12 West. It's right near Tom Jones. It's causing delays all the way from Snake Road. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the R59 North, we've got delays between Marysdale and Alberton due to peak time delays.
The top story this hour, 5 pupils have been arrested for allegedly setting a fire that destroyed 2 classrooms at a school in Krugersdorp.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
South Africa's retirement system remains under pressure, but there's real opportunity for change. So on the 12th of August, the Old Mutual Thought Leaders Forum returns, bringing together decision makers, policymakers, business influencers to continue the vital conversation on building a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable retirement system within a changing world of work. The focus, bold, practical solutions employers can implement today to improve outcomes for tomorrow. Visit oldmutual.co.za/Thought Leaders Forum to learn more and download the latest Mindspace publication.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age. Or now also in a no water needed fruity flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and phlegmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
This August, the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass is open to the public for the first time. Join Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albaser for 2 days for global case studies, including Real Madrid's winning formula, Netflix's streaming dominance, and Francis Ngannou's fight for athletic freedom. 11th and 12th August at the Maslow Santon. Seats are limited. Search Prime Media Sport Masterclass on Ticketmaster to book today.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and team. The most awkward thing, family member asking me to go take cash against my bond because they were in trouble. And I'm the only one apparently who could have helped at that time. And I just found it like disrespecting. I thought to myself, my goodness, how do you even, how did you get to that thought? Sure, gosh, the things we go through in this life thing, hey? Have a good day, guys. A great show, Shadi, Kempton Park.
Hi, boy, about your most awkward or embarrassing question that's ever been asked. We had very good friends about 20 years ago, and at a braai, the woman wanted to know from me sort of what kinky outfit my husband wanted me to wear when we were kind of getting down and dirty. And I stood there not having a clue what to say, because not only was she this incredibly prim and proper person, her husband was equally so. And I just didn't have a clue of what to say. It was one of the most awkward things. And she kind of insisted because she wanted some help and some guidance. And I was kind of thinking, what do you say to a request like that?
Hey, morning, Bongani. Bongani, awkward borrowing. A friend once asked me to use my account, clothing account. So imagine when he was not going to pay. Yeah, ne?
Well, it's not just about borrowing. We're asking you this morning, what's the most awkward request you have received? What's the most awkward thing somebody has asked you for? Kutala on YouTube says, she was once asked for an outfit by someone married to my cousin, an outfit that she wore on her wedding day just a week earlier. Why are we asking all of this? What does this have to do with the price of eggs? Well, I want you to listen. It really is quite an extraordinary thing. I want you to listen to White House Press Secretary, right, Carolyn Levitt, last week Thursday, essentially demanding a Nobel Prize for her boss.
The president has now ended conflicts between Thailand and Cambodia, Israel and Iran, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, India and Pakistan, Serbia and Kosovo, and Egypt and Ethiopia. This means President Trump has brokered, on average, about one peace deal or ceasefire per month during his 6 months in office. It's well past time that President Trump was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
So there are a lot of people, we could argue, that have received the Nobel Peace Prize who probably didn't deserve it. But you know what? The one thing all of them have in common, those who deserved it and those who didn't, none of them asked for it. None of them actually made a case as to why they should get it. In fact, I think you could make a very strong case for why Trump shouldn't get it, right? Sexual assault allegations, racism, warmongering, Islamophobia, groping women. There are so many reasons why this man doesn't deserve it. But he actually goes around asking for it. It's awkward, man. It's cringe. What is that request you've received that made you go, ooh, my toes are curling?
EWN Sport.
What were we saying off air, Cindy? It's rather like asking the school.
Yeah, why your child didn't get a specific award. My child deserves this award.
And you know there are parents like that, right?
Everywhere.
Let's talk sport. Kaizer Chiefs off to a good start.
Well, they hopefully will be. They open their Betway Premiership season on Sunday against Stellenbosch. I'm sure their fans are hoping so. Chiefs beat Stellenbosch 3 times last season. But Stellenbosch coach Steve Barker says Chiefs are a real threat this season.
Chiefs have also signed some really good players. They've had a really good pre-season. And I'm sure the expectations on the club and from the fans is for them to achieve a lot more than what they have. So, we're expecting a big... tough match on Sunday, but we're getting used to playing in these type of matches and the pressures that they bring. So I'm sure that we'll be up for the game.
Abroad, Son Heung-min joined Los Angeles FC for a record MLS transfer fee reported to be $26.5 million for 2 years. The All Blacks nearly didn't have Leroy Carter in their squad for their rugby championship trip to Argentina after he discovered his dog had chewed up his passport just days before departure. Meanwhile, Richie Mongas confirmed he'll play in Super Rugby from next year, leaving Japan. In tennis, the US Open prize money on offer for this year's Grand Slam is $90 million.
Wow.
That's the largest purse in tennis history. That doesn't mean the winner gets it.
That's the overall
Yes.
pot
Yes.
for everyone.
For everyone. But it basically,
okay.
do you know, it basically means, and I didn't realize this, just by qualifying to play in the first round, you get money. So you've made it to the first round. That's what it means.
Okay.
Back in the day, you would have to play to get to a certain point to start earning. Because it's I think they've started to realize, firstly, the players are pushing back on that they are the product. You are selling us and we are getting none of it. But also the fact that, it costs. It costs to get the person to the US Open. And then because I loved watching this documentary on Netflix, you have to book your accommodation well in advance. You can't go to the US and go, well, I'm not that good, so I'm not going to book 2 weeks of accommodation because I'm probably not going to make the final. You still have to book for you, your team, everybody.
Because what happens if you really do well?
What if you want that wild card?
Right.
That makes
you
it
can't
to the
ask one
final?
of the fans, can we sleep over at
Sorry,
your house?
does anybody have an Airbnb in the area that is close to the tennis grounds?
That would be awkward.
Especially
Okay.
in New York in that time of the
Yeah.
year. There's no accommodation. So the tournament's also 15 days. It starts on the 24th and it finishes on the 7th of September. At the Canada Open, Naomi Osaka through to the final after beating Toson 6-2, 7-5. Osaka will play teenager Victoria Mboko, who came from a set down to beat Rybakina 1-6, 7-5 and 7-6. And in Test cricket today, Zimbabwe against New Zealand. The Black Caps added Tom Latham to their injury list, while Zimbabwe welcomed back Brendan Taylor. Taylor had retired from cricket, revealing months later he was battling with drug and alcohol addiction. He was also banned for 3 years by the ICC for breaching the anti-corruption code. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz.
On 702.
Good morning, Uncle Bongani. I am Joshua City. I am 13 years old. I attend St. Barnabas School of Specialization. I would like to be a automotive engineer when I grow up, and I am so excited to play the Whiz Quiz with you today.
Who knows, Joshua, maybe you are going to invent the South African car, right? The first South African car. What would we call it? The Via, right? The Via. I'm driving a Via 5, a Via 6.
EWN Traffic.
13 to 7. This Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Amo, who's stuck in traffic, wishing they were driving a Via.
A Via, so that they could just go through
whiz
traffic.
through.
Well, if you're traveling on the N12 West, definitely you will be delayed due to an accident in the Benoni area. Delays coming out of Snake Road while traveling on the R59 North. Queuing traffic between Swartkoppies Road and the Reading interchange. There's also slow-moving traffic if you are leaving Eldorado Park via the N12 East between Klipspruit Valley Road and the Golden Highway. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that this Women's Month, every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a multitasking mom, rocking her girl boss outfit over her supermom cape. There's a sister, a princess, a trailblazer, and a leader. The Outsurance pointsmen know they're not just cars in traffic, they are game changers on the move. Happy Women's Month. You are part of the reason why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Entertainment and gaming focus. Step inside the business of sport and entertainment with Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albuser at the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass. You can explore Netflix's rise in the streaming wars, the billion-dollar world of Grand Auto Theft 6, and the strategies of global sport leaders. 11 and 12 August at the Maslow Hotel in Sandton. Book your seat now at Ticketmaster.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
If you want to know about the heart and art of jazz, look no further than the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, a grand ensemble of over 50 world-class acts across 4 stages for 3 whole days. That's right, from the 26th, 27th and 28th of September. The Sandton Convention Center will be demure and sophisticated as the fine Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025 takes you deep into the heart, the art and splendor of jazz. Take me there. Book your seat via Ticketmaster now.
When selling a car, there's nothing worse than a long, frustrating process. We Buy Cars knows life's short and time is precious. Sell your car within a day from wherever you find it convenient. Simply complete the online form and We Buy Cars will make it happen. Need a new ride? Explore thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's most trusted vehicle partner.
We spend a lot of time looking for deals, but we don't invest the same time in our health. Your health buys you more time with the people you love. So who are you staying healthy for, and how can you improve your health? Choose Discam Life, the life cover that rewards you for living healthier with lower premiums and more cover. Visit discamlife.co.za now. Discam Life. Choose a better partner for life. Discam Life is an authorized FSP 50594, underwritten by Guardrisk Life, a licensed life insurer, FSP 76. T's and C's apply.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by Outsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. So what you do is you send us an answer based on something you heard that piqued your interest during the show, and for that you win 1,000 Rand. Simply WhatsApp us your name and that answer to 072 702 1702. A little later, someone else will ask a question to win 2,000 Rand. Now, remember, you stand a better chance of being selected if you have SMS'd out to Outsurance and got yourself a quote. So what are you waiting for? Do it now. SMS out to 45142, and you could save on your car insurance.
Let's talk.
We're listening. Morning, Bongani and 702. If something goes missing at home, my first suspect is my younger brother. Like, that guy is always trying to wear my stuff. Like, he will come into my room, take my stuff, wear them, and then does not return them. I don't like, especially my jewelry, my accessories. He will just come and grab things from my room, and then he doesn't return them. And then when I'm looking for my stuff, I'm like, yo, where's my stuff? He's like, I don't know. And it's probably somewhere in his room.
I mean, maybe that's cute that you guys can wear each other's clothes. On some level, I find that quite cute. If that brother thinks he can get away with and pull it off wearing your clothes, good luck for him.
Who is the busiest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Up next, a conversation with the investigative outfit Ground Up. We'll tell you some of their key stories. We've got this partnership with them. They're a non-profit doing incredible community-based investigative reporting. So we'll tell you some of their stories coming up. In the meantime, let's give some cash, shall we? Joshua wants to be an automotive engineer. Joshua, I was saying earlier that maybe you'll be one of the first designers of a South African car, hey?
Maybe.
We'll call it a Vaya or a Vroom Vroom. Let's see if you can Vaya and Vroom Vroom your way to 10,000 Rand. KG, start the clock. Spell the word witness.
WITNESS.
Correct. What is 50 times 4?
200.
Correct. True or false? The human brain does not feel any physical pain.
False.
It's true. Which superhero has a butler called Alfred?
Batman.
Correct. Which animal is an omnivore? The rat or the sheep?
Say again?
Which animal is an omnivore? Is it a rat or a sheep?
A rat.
Correct. Which word means define, which word means definite, vague or exact?
Exact.
Correct. In which sport does Peter Kutzer represent South Africa, swimming or tennis?
Tennis.
Swimming. True or false? The Earth's outer layer is known as the crust.
True.
Correct. Which animated movie are Princess Ariel and Prince Eric two characters?
Pass.
The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is what we were looking for there. Joshua, not a bad round at all. You did really, really well. 600 Rand is what you score. 6 correct answers. Remember, you get $100 for each correct answer. Get all 10 right in 60 seconds. You get 10,000 Rand.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz.
On 702.
Current events, developing stories,
Tough questions.
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
6 to 7, as you know, every 2 weeks we speak to Ground Up about their reportage. They are, of course, a public interest news site, and they cover everything from education, health, sanitation, migration, and human rights stories. And they do so without advertising or a paywall. So we always encourage the exposure of their stories because we think they do important work, and you can, of course, support Ground Up. So we're speaking, as per usual, mostly. Daniel Steyn is the reporter. Daniel, great to have you back on the show. Let's start with this hapless individual, Primrose Mudisane. She essentially has lived most of her life as a ghost without any identification, and Home Affairs officials, initially at least, weren't really interested in helping.
Yeah, good morning, Bongani. Good to be with you again. Yeah, the story of Primrose has been a very sad and helpless story until recently. And the good news is that this week, Primrose finally got her South African ID, a birth certificate, which means she can apply for an ID, she can enroll her children in school, her own name can be on her children's birth certificates. So Primrose was born 36 years ago in Zimbabwe, but her grandmother was South African. But because Primrose didn't have a Zimbabwean birth certificate nor a South African birth certificate, and neither did her mother, the Department of Home Affairs didn't really know what to do when she registered her foreign birth. And it was only after Primrose, with the help of Lawyers for Human Rights, took the department to court and got a court order to compel the department to give her a birth certificate, that she was finally able to get the South African citizenship she's entitled to.
All right, talk to me about the Tsiamiso Trust. It was set up to compensate miners who contracted TB and silicosis, right? And there was that 2018 court settlement, but now it's facing a threat?
Yeah, so it was a massive 2018 court settlement, and as a result of that settlement, several mining companies had to put together a trust to pay miners who had gotten sick with silicosis and TB, as well as the families of miners who have died from silicosis and TB, which they had contracted obviously through the conditions in mines. But the problem is that, so 5 billion rand was set aside, put into this fund, of which 845 million was allocated for operations. But now there's concern that that operations budget will be spent soon, over the next few years, and that 80% of the fund would already be spent by 2026, meaning that then the fund would not be able to operate anymore or pay out miners. And the problem is that to date only 25,000 miners have been paid out, but there are hundreds of thousands of miners whose applications still need to be processed.
Gosh, how is that possible? So many of the people are never going to see this money, essentially.
Well, the mining companies say that they've put in place necessary procedures to further assess many of these claimants, but the critics are worried that these further procedures are very costly. Staff salaries for the trust are exceeding 30 million rand per year. Trustees are getting very high trustee fees, and that will cause basically the fund to not be able to operate. And yes, that there's concerns that eligible claimants will not get their funds.
Now, here's an interesting case. It's gone all the way to the Constitutional Court. Who can graze on whose land?
Yeah, so this was an interesting case that we've reported on since the 2022 Land Claims Court judgment, which ruled in favor of 3 brothers in the Northwest Province who were grazing their cattle on land owned by a private owner, but because their mother used to work on the farm, they had rights under the Extension of Security and Tenure Act. Now, that act was initiated in 1997 to protect people who, under apartheid, would have had rights to live on land, but that rights could have just been taken away whenever the owner wanted to. So in terms of that act, you can't do that. So if you live on land that you don't own, but you're protected under this ESTA Act, then the only way to get you off that land would be for the owner to evict you. So what this Constitutional Court judgment does is it says the ESTA doesn't just protect your right to live on the land, it also protects your right to graze your livestock or use the land. So if the owner wanted to prevent you from using the land or grazing your livestock, then they need to go through a court process. They need to use the same processes that are in ESTA. So this basically extends protection to many people living on land they don't own or using land they don't own, so that that right can't be taken away from them.
I'd imagine it's going to be very significant, Daniel, for farm dwellers particularly, and it's a shift as far as rural occupancy rights go. I appreciate your time as always, Daniel Steyn, Ground Up journalist, and you can go and support their work, by the way. As I say, they rely solely on donations to deliver in-depth journalism without ads or paywalls. And if you would like to support their critical work, simply go to groundup.org.za for details.
702. Coming up, the big interview.
How much is too much? We look at the salaries paid to executives in struggling state-owned entities, and we ask, are we as the public getting good bang for our buck? It's 7 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Trump's tariffs have officially kicked in, and the Public Works Minister will lay criminal complaints against the controversial IDT CEO. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Donald Trump's controversial tariffs have kicked in, making it more expensive for dozens of countries to sell their goods and products to Americans. South Africa has been hit with a 30% duty, and government was this week still trying to negotiate a better trade deal. An executive order signed last week by Trump means the affected countries will face tariffs between 15 and 41%. The U.S. president has posted on his Truth platform today that it's midnight. Billions of dollars in tariffs are now flowing into the United States of America. Meanwhile, the ANC says it won't abandon transformative policies like BEE and the Expropriation Act, even if it means its leaders get sanctioned by the U.S. government. While the sweeping tariffs are set to apply to other countries, the ANC says it believes South Africa is being punished for some of its legislation. Tawiso Goba reports.
Earlier this year, U.S. President Donald Trump falsely claimed the South African government was using the Expropriation Act to seize land from white farmers. In April, controversial Republican politician Ronnie Jackson introduced a bill to Congress which seeks to review the U.S.'s relationship with South Africa and sanction corrupt ANC officials. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says the Trump administration seems intent on not engaging honestly.
So it's to basically coerce us to do things that are anti-transformation. It's not possible. If it means we're going to suffer through sanctions as leaders of the ANC, let it be. We'll never back imperialists.
Mbalula has acknowledged the U.S. tariffs will have a huge negative impact on the country's economy. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Public Works Minister Dean McPherson is today expected to lay a criminal complaint against suspended Independent Development Trust CEO Tebogo Malaka. Just a week since McPherson released the findings of a forensic investigation into the trust, online publication The Daily Maverick yesterday published a video showing Malaka trying to offer a journalist a bribe to stop him from investigating her. McPherson says he will address these shocking revelations outside the Cape Town Central Police Station later today. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Minister Dean McPherson has come under fire since the start of this administration for his handling of alleged corruption at the IDT, a lesser-known state-owned entity responsible for managing the construction, renovation and maintenance of facilities like schools and clinics. McPherson was taken to court and won after he made changes to the board and ordered a forensic investigation into an oxygen supply tender for hospitals after the Daily Maverick blew the lid on dodgy contracts worth 800 million rand. Now the same journalist, Peter Louis Myburg, has dropped another bombshell, a secretly recorded video of IDT CEO Tebogo Malaka and spokesperson Pasha Magolane offering him 60,000 rand in cash to squash his reporting. McPherson says this incident leads him to believe that he's been part of a paid-for public campaign to discredit his efforts to bring stability and good governance to the entity. The forensic report recommended disciplinary action against Malaka for irregularities in the oxygen supply tender. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The investigators in the DJ Somebody murder case say they have lodged a formal complaint with prosecution's bosses over the release of controversial businessman Katiso Molefe in a separate murder case. Molefe returned to the Alexandra Magistrates Court yesterday where he made a formal bail application. He's accused of being the mastermind behind the hits on the popular DJ whose name is Opa Sifoka and Hector Buthelezi who went by the name of DJ Fintos. Khomoso Modise reports.
When Katiso KT Molefe was arrested last month in connection with the murder of DJ Somebody, he was out on bail and on trial for a hit on Vereniging engineer Armand Swart. Molefe was initially denied bail in the Vereniging Magistrates Court, but took that decision on appeal in the High Court and was granted bail on new facts by Gauteng Deputy Judge President Aubrey Ledwaba. Prosecutors have addressed the Alexandra Magistrates Court on this decision while opposing Molefe's release.
The investigating team have submitted a letter of complaint to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution for them to read, review and consider an appeal against the granting of appeal. The DPP's office in Pretoria indicated that they are considering our complaint.
Molefe will return to the court for his bail hearing to continue next week. Khomoso Modise, Eyewitness News in Alexandra.
And Sudan's Air Force says it has destroyed an Emirati aircraft carrying Colombian mercenaries as it landed at a paramilitary-controlled airport in Darfur, killing at least 40 people. The airport has recently come under repeated airstrikes by the Sudanese army at war with the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces since April 2023. There was no immediate comment from the RSF or the United Arab Emirates. The army, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has long accused the UAE of supplying advanced weapons, including drones. Abu Dhabi has denied the accusations despite numerous efforts, or reports rather, from UN experts, US political officials and international organizations. Gold is trading at $3,378.12 an ounce. The rand is at 17.74 to the dollar, 23.72 to the pound, 20.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes along the N12 West. This is between Davidson and Benoni due to a major accident that happened right near Atlas Road, causing those hectic delays. Please be on the lookout. About a 20-minute hold up there. If you are traveling on the R59 North, do expect delays between Swartkopies Road and Nelson Mandela Avenue due to peak time delays. And there's been an accident in Diepkloof, rather in Naturina on the N1 North, right near the Golden Highway, causing delays.
In your sport, the Proteas feeling rusty ahead of the limited over series with Australia. Australia mostly unchanged for the Rugby Championship, including Nick White delaying his retirement to help the walking wounded pack. Los Angeles FC sign Son Heung-min in a record MLS deal.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. Johannesburg is at a low of 5 degrees, peaking at 15. Pretoria 8 and 15. Vereniging 6 and 15 as well. The top story in EWN this hour. Donald Trump's controversial tariffs have kicked in, making it more expensive for dozens of countries to sell their goods and products to Americans.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You know greatness when you see it. Now it's time to celebrate it. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702. Powered by Yoko. Head to primediaplus.com to make your nomination.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes after 7 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Breakfast. If you've just joined us, my name indeed is Bongani Bingwa. We essentially have a mandate to give you everything you need to know in the news cycle. What's happening both here and internationally. The big story, of course, for not just South Africans, but many countries around the world. But certainly, it will hit us hard. That 30% duty on South African exports to the US. Dozens of countries have been affected. An executive order signed by the US president means those countries are now facing tariffs of up to 41% on their exports. In fact, it just changed for India, because I say up to 41%. For India now, it's going to be 50%. And one of the things that is clear is that even if we are at 30%, it isn't necessarily the last figure the Trump White House may impose on South Africa. This 30% may merely be the amuse-bouche, as I said earlier in the week, the starter to this menu. But have a listen. Yesterday, Donald Trump speaking at the Oval Office, talking about what he wants to do as far as chip and semiconductor exports in the U.S.
We'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge, even though you're building and you're not producing yet in terms of the big numbers of jobs and all of the things that you're building. If you're building, there will be no charge. This is a significant step toward the ultimate goal of ensuring that iPhones sold in the United States of America also are made in America. With the mass infusion of capital it's announcing today, Apple will also build a 250,000 square foot server manufacturing facility in Houston and invest billions of dollars to construct data centers across the country from North Carolina to Iowa to Oregon.
And so, I mean, You could argue it's working because that's exactly what Apple is going to be doing. He said these words with the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, next to him. And here's how the Apple CEO sees it and the commitments he's made to the US.
American innovation is central to everything we do. Our products are designed here, we're hiring and growing here, and we support 450,000 jobs with thousands of suppliers and partners in all 50 states. Earlier this year, we made our largest ever spending commitment, $500 billion to the U.S. over the next 4 years. That's already yielding results. Earlier this year, we broke ground on a new factory in Houston to make advanced AI servers. And just last month, the very first test unit rolled off that factory's line, proudly made in America. President Trump shared some kind words about that work, but he also asked us to think about what more we could commit to doing. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I'm very proud to say that we're committing an additional $100 billion to the United States, bringing our total U.S. investment to $600 billion over the next 4 years.
So you might argue it is working, but I tell you who it's not working for, ANC leaders. Yesterday at a media briefing, the African National Congress Secretary General Fikile Mbalula challenged the United States to sanction its officials, saying, bring it on, we're not going to change how we operate. And to be clear, those that want these sanctions on ANC leaders have begun a process in terms of American legislation that is very, very far from being enacted, but the noises are being made. And Mbaks, for his part, says, bring it on.
If it means we're going to suffer through sanctions as leaders of the ANC, let it be. We'll never beg imperialists to subvert our democracy, to subvert our sovereignty. It happened during the period of struggle. It will happen even now. We will never forsake our country, which we fought for its liberation. But this country, South Africa, all its citizens know that it is a democratic country, it's a liberated country, and we are still transforming this country in order to achieve equity. And we will still pursue redress because we are not equal.
And the one concession that I think is important to note that was made by Fikile Mbalula, the ANC Secretary General, was that the African National Congress will no longer sing that song, Kill the Boer.
About Malema and Kill the Boer. As the ANC, we sang that song, but no member of the ANC today will be allowed to sing Kill the Boer. Simple as that. Even if the Constitutional Court said you can sing, why should we sing Kill the Boer in a democratic dispensation? We sang the song because we're fighting the commandos when we infiltrate the country from Limpopo. They deployed the Boers, commandos, to kill the guerrillas as we infiltrate the country. From Angola and in the frontline states, we sang Kill the Boer, kill the farmer, in order to infiltrate the country and come inside and fight.
Well, that's what the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has to say. In other words, Paul Mashatile's diamond-giving friend, Louis Liebenberg, was referred to a district surgeon for evaluation after delivering a nearly 30-minute tirade in court, during which he made often incoherent remarks about the Bible, about bread, and he alleges prison abuses. Liebenberg and his wife Desiree and 7 others face charges including fraud, racketeering, and theft linked to a 4 billion rand diamond trading investment scam. He, of course, was the one who sent Paul Mashatile's wife that ring. Yesterday, we spoke about Sudan. That country now accusing the United Arab Emirates of funding Colombian and African mercenaries to fight along the Rapid Support Forces, the old Janjaweed, essentially in that ongoing civil war. The UAE, of course, denying those allegations. It's 7:15.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. There's a crash on the N12 West.
That's correct, Bongani, in the Benoni, east of Joburg areas. As a result, it's causing heavy traffic volumes between Snake Road all the way towards the Atlas Road exit. If you're traveling along this route, do expect about a 20-minute hold-up. And of course, please try to find alternative routes. If you're traveling on the N1 South in the Randburg area, we've got another accident scene reported right after Malibongwe Drive, causing delays from Winnie Mandela Drive. As a result, Malibongwe Drive in itself is backed up towards Rocky due to people trying to avoid the scene. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 82. You had to turn back home because you forgot to lock the door. Well, fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads, with them on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen easing traffic congestion and getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out, in proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using hashtag pointsmanlove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
Up next, a conversation with the DA MP Leah Potgieter, who's making noises about the executive pay in some state-owned entities. But before that, we've invited Professor Dirk Kotze, who's a political analyst at the Department of Political Sciences at the University of South Africa. You may remember yesterday we played you some audio from Parliament looking into that ad hoc committee that is beginning its work to investigate the allegations made by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Now, there was some debate as to whether the chair of this committee could come from the very party whose members were most often mentioned by Mkhwanazi in his allegations. Prof. Kotze, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Apart from who leads it, just explain to us once again how an ad hoc committee works, how it's different from others that are formed in Parliament, and how it will get to the bottom of this issue.
Yes, ad hoc committee, as the word indicates, is a committee which is established for a very specific purpose. It's not like a portfolio committee or a select committee, which is there on a permanent basis in Parliament. So it is not linked to a particular portfolio, for example, in this case now the police. It is something with a very specific terms of reference, and that was to a large extent finalized Friday already. But what is similar about it is that it is a multi-party committee. Normally it's based on a more or less proportional representation basis, and that they have to also elect on a ad hoc basis the chairperson, as you've now introduced it. So it is, and it is, once it has completed its works, it comes to an end. It doesn't continue at all.
All right. There are 6 members of the ANC out of 11 on this committee. Does that then suggest, for example, as some might argue, if that party doesn't like the outcomes, they will override whatever decisions it makes?
Well, it looks like that, but in principle, normally, these parties cannot take a decision simply by a majority. They have to have the support of the main parties at least, maybe not all the small parties. But if there is some of the bigger parties who are not going along with the decision, then in essence, they won't be able to take a decision. So, and if we look at more specifically at the members of the different parties, there are quite strong members there. There's, for example, Julius Malema is there on behalf of the EFF. Ian Cameron and Glenys Breitenbach is there for the DA. These are all people who are very experienced, and they won't be just dominated by the ANC.
It won't be a whitewash, you don't think?
No, I don't think so.
So it doesn't, in a sense, then matter which party the chair comes from, does it?
Not so much, because it ends up by being a collective decision. It cannot be dictated by, in this particular case, it cannot be dictated by a chairperson. Apparently, the chairperson's position was originally offered to Julius Malema, but he declined.
Yeah, he did decline it. All right, appreciate that quick explainer, Professor Dirk Kotze from the University of South Africa.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
The other issue, of course, is how much is too much. We're now looking at executive pay for state-owned enterprises. It comes from a question that was asked by DA MP Leah Potgieter about what exactly are we paying the executives in state-owned enterprises? Her particular objection also relates to how many of them are failing in their core mandates. So do these executives deserve their millions? And let me go through some of them. For example, the CEO of the Development Bank of South Africa earns a cool 15.5 million rand. That's 42,000 rand a day. We should have those till sounds, KG, hey? The Transnet CEO earns 8.5 million rand. That works out to 708,000 rand every month, or 23,000 rand a day. PRASA, 7.8 million. The Road Accident Fund, 7.1 million, and so on and so forth. Leah Potgieter has very graciously joined us in the studio this morning. Welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Thanks, Bongani, and good morning to your listeners.
So what's your objection with these salaries?
Well, initially I asked the question because there's no clear information on the state-owned entities. There's no standardized, framework that they operate from in determining how these executives are paid. And I wanted to basically understand it before I started, delving into it. And actually, it's quite interesting you mentioned the DBSA. That's actually a 50% increase on their salary from the last financial year. The previous salary of the DBSA CEO was 10.5 million, and it got a lovely 47% increase.
Gosh, I'm talking to my bosses now. See, that is possible. That is possible, bosses. But in a more serious note, how is it determined which CEO earns how much? In other words, shouldn't there be a kind of standard that if you are the leader of a state-owned entity, this is more or less the band rather, in which you get paid?
You would think so, but no. And this is really what I'm looking at, is how to standardize. And it was interesting, once I started asking these questions, the Minister of Finance actually came out and said he's going to start looking at standardizing the frameworks across the board. They all use different frameworks. Eskom, for example, says that they benchmark on JSE-listed companies, which is great, but Eskom is not a JSE-listed company, and it certainly doesn't turn a profit. People aren't worried about what, for example, the CEO of Capitec earns, because he brings in the rewards. They have capitalized on the market that they've, looked at, and he's bringing in what the company needs to operate. They're turning a profit. It seems to me that the worse these entities are doing, the higher the salaries are going. And if you look at across the board, they're awarding performance bonuses in cases where they actually haven't performed, which doesn't make any sense. They're even awarding performance bonuses to acting CEOs, which shouldn't happen because they're not contracted in that particular position.
But are we comparing apples with oranges? If I think of some of the private sector CEOs, Old Mutual, for example, rakes in 32 million rand. ShopRite, Peter Engelbrecht getting as much as 83 million rand. I can go on about Investec and BHP Billiton and Naspers and Discovery. These are executives who earn far higher with all kinds of things like share options, for example. So their value in terms of remuneration isn't just what goes into their bank accounts. There's so much more. When you compare that with the executives of state-owned entities, it's much more significant.
100%. But the difference between those companies and the state-owned entities where the highest salaries are being paid is that they are not performing. The companies where CEOs earn that kind of money, and nobody is disgruntled over that fact, because they bring in more money, which means they can hire more people and they can do more.
But on the other hand, the impact of SOEs on this economy is, in some sense, is even more significant, because if the lights are off, as we know, none of those private sector CEOs can rake in the profits that you speak of so admiringly. I mean, some would say, after all those years of load shedding, pay Dan Morakane all he wants to keep the lights on.
I agree with you. Look, I think if CEOs are performing, nobody really cares what they earn. I think it's important, though, to have a framework and a benchmark. What seems to be happening is when an SOE starts failing, they start digressing from the standard operating rules or the regulations around, HR procedures in order to, bring in more qualified people. But it seems to be not doing any service to the SOEs. They're just looking at the salary, upping it. I mean, you look at the DBSA, we're upping it by 50%, and Eskom was the same. And they're not looking at the failures within the state-owned entities and fixing those.
But how you attract some of those executives to deal with those failures, many executives, now the incumbents, essentially didn't cause some of those problems. They've been hired at these amounts to try and fix those problems.
Look, I don't have any issue with trying to attract the best talents in the country. That's what you want. You want these people operating your SOEs. But what you also want is for Parliament to be able to understand what frameworks are you using. It cannot be that because you don't like the framework or because you don't like the benchmarks. I mean, in some of the responses I got, they can't even tell me what benchmarking they're using. And that's simply what I'm trying to understand, is what is the standard practice that you're utilizing so that we can understand how you're hiring people. Is it the best practice for the SOE? But if you can't even tell me how you're doing it, then how must we understand exactly how your SOE is operating?
Gosh, the Road Accident Fund, technically insolvent, but executives earning over 7 million rand?
Well, it's interesting.
How do we swallow that?
It's interesting because some of the SOEs that are performing, quite well actually have the lowest salaries. So they definitely, for me, on this initial, and I haven't even received all the responses back. I've actually gone on a different tangent as well to look at KPIs and how they're measuring performance. So this can all be kind of put in together because it's not just about salaries. And some of these, the best performing SOEs, their CEOs are earning the lowest out of the entire, lots of them. So it speaks to the fact that salary alone is not an indication of how somebody's going to perform.
What does that say about the various boards of these state-owned entities and whatever oversight committees may be responsible for all of this?
Well, I think we've seen issues with boards over the years. You've seen a lot of the ministers. I know Dean McPherson, for example, and Solly Malatsi have also reconfigured their boards in their various ministries. But I do think that there needs to be stronger oversight mechanisms within there. I've got a colleague actually within the DA who's looking at that particular issue.
Leah Potgieter, appreciate your time popping into the studio, raising concerns around executive pay for state-owned entities. How do you dice it? I'd love to hear your calls on 011-883-0702. We'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on 072-702-1702. To get the best out of these entities, don't you need to attract the very best talent? And shouldn't you therefore remunerate them accordingly? Or do you say, hang on, this is not a spaza shop. There must be some kind of standardized measure to determine what these people get. And partly, if you're working for an SOE, there is a sense of public service, country duty, as it were. Which way do you dice it?
EWN Business.
29 after 7. We played you a clip from Tim Cook a little earlier on. Muteo, tell us more about Apple's investment in US operations.
It seems a little forced, but I guess he's...
Because Donald Trump was standing right there next to him,
yeah,
right?
and he's making sure he sends out the measures. But Apple is investing another $100 billion to expand its operations in the United States. Apple's investment comes after the tech giant already committed $500 billion to growing its domestic footprint earlier this year, as tariffs levied by Trump on U.S. Trading partners have cost Apple billions. U.S. President Donald Trump announcing he would impose 100% tariff on chip imports with an exemption for companies that are building in the United States. Now, Apple announced it will use chips produced by Samsung Electronics at the South Korean company's Texas facility for its devices, including iPhones. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the world's biggest chip supplier, they saw their shares go up 4% after the announcement. Of course, TSMC already has facilities in Arizona in the United States.
All right, you've come back with the answer from that question. One of our YouTube listeners, or shall I say viewers now, asked about, given the tumultuous times and the geopolitical uncertainty, what are the ratings agencies saying about some of the role players in those conflicts?
Look, it's not as harsh as it would be for South Africa. The US was just moved from a standard of a triple A to double A1, which is still not a bad credit rating given what is happening in the US.
We'd take it. We'd
take it any day. That would be a gold standard for us. Moody's is the last of the three major ratings agencies to lower the federal government's credit rating. Standard & Poor's downgraded federal debt in the US in 2011, and Fitch Ratings also followed suit in 2023. What's still not clear is the numbers around Israel. I think Moody's ratings affirms Israel's credit rating at Baa1, which is 2 notches below the US in terms of credit rating, something we'd still also take.
All right, where's the rand?
17 rand 74 against the US dollar, 20 rand 70 cents against the euro, and 23 rand 70 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,379 an ounce, or platinum at $1,331. Brent crude at $67.31 a barrel. More business after 8.
Mr. Zulu, there really is a difference between traditional media and the new players on the scene, and not everybody follows the rules, do they?
That's correct, Bongani. Good morning. The DA says it's reported the Open Chats podcasters to the South African Human Rights Commission for an episode it says is offensive and amounts to race baiting. In a discussion on the popular podcast, which has over 400,000 subscribers on YouTube, the hosts discussed the coloured community, with one describing coloured people as crazy and says they engage in incest. Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie has also planned on taking legal advice to sue the podcasters. The DA's federal chairperson, Ivan Meyer, says the matter has already been reported to the Human Rights Commission for what the party says is the abhorrent stereotyping of coloured people.
This vile content degrades the dignity of coloured people for cheap social media online clicks. Free speech ends where it violates the rights of others. The Democratic Alliance will always stand up against hate speech and defend the constitutional values of dignity, respect, and non-racialism.
The Open Chat podcast has apologized for the offense caused soon after the discussion went viral on social media, and the discussion has since been removed from the episode, but the DA says an apology does not erase the harm caused or absolves the perpetrators from accountability. 5 pupils have been arrested for allegedly setting a fire that destroyed 2 classrooms at a school in Krugersdorp. It's alleged that they started the blaze yesterday because they were not happy with changes to their school timetable. The Tutolifa Secondary School made the changes to ensure that pupils complete their syllabus to have enough time for revision ahead of the matric preliminary exams. Gauteng Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona.
MEC has condemned this incident in the strongest possible term and indicated that burning a classroom is not a form of protest. It's actually a criminal matter. All those that did this, they need to face the criminal justice.
And French Prime Minister Francois Bayrou says a huge deadly wildfire sweeping through the south of France is a catastrophe of an unprecedented scale. He's been visiting the Aude region where wildfires have scorched an area larger than Paris. The Prime Minister says the wildfire is linked to global warming and drought. An elderly woman has been killed and at least one other person is missing as more than 2,000 firefighters continue to tackle the blaze which broke out on Tuesday. A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers. The temperatures are at lows of 6 and 8 degrees, peaking at highs of 15.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes on the N12 West between Snake Road and Atlas Road due to a major accident scene. As a result, people are using alternative routes like Tom Jones as well as Great North Road and even Snake Road to try and avoid the backlog on the N12 West while traveling on the Modderfontein Road in the Greenstone area towards Van Riebeeck Road. And another accident reported there, and it's causing heavy traffic delays from Greenstone Drive.
The top story this hour, the DA says it's reported the Open Chats podcasters to the Human Rights Commission for an episode it says is offensive and amounts to race baiting.
Time to review my favorite employee, my F&B Gold business account. You give me thousands of potential customers by listing my business on NAV Marketplace and access to Guard Me, a bodyguard for cash drops, locking up. No other card does this. If you weren't a bank card, I'd give you a raise.
The F&B Gold business account. No other card works harder for your business because your safety is worth it. F&B, help changes everything. T's and C's apply. F&B, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
Celebrate Women's Day in style with exclusive platinum or golden standing tickets to see Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas. Enjoy complimentary seating, dedicated bar areas and restrooms, and the freedom to bring your own picnic blankets for a relaxed, unforgettable experience. Happening at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium in Sandton. They'll be joined by South African multi-award-winning singers, the incomparable Zonke, Sjava and Vusinova. Get your tickets now on CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vertex Events and 702.
The blockbuster main attraction at UFC 319 in Chicago on the 17th of August sees Dricus du Plessis take on Russia's Khamzat Chimaev. Will the South African fighter become a legend and defend his middleweight title for the third time while handing the challenger his first ever defeat? Catch all the thrilling action and be in it to win it. Bet 40 Rand or more on any UFC fight between 1 July and 17 August and stand a chance to win your share of 100,000 Rand in cash and prizes. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
From women's sport to private equity in entertainment, the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass brings world-class learning to South Africa. Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albaser will unpack the New York Liberty's WNBA turnaround, Redbird Capital's bold move with Paramount and AC Milan, and more. 11 and 12 August at the Maslow Hotel. Tickets available now on Ticketmaster.
702. WhatsApp Bongani on 072 702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. This is Papa from Tembisa. I think my main issue with this executive pays at SOEs is that most of the SOEs are not profitable. Now, how do you justify such high salaries if your company is running at a loss? So I think their performance or their pay should be linked to how those specific or particular SOEs operate. Obviously, they need to show a profit for them to justify these huge salaries. This is Papa from Tembisa.
Morning, Bongs. Hi, Enas. Is it because they've been there forever or because just to get them on board, the standardized salary had to be increased to meet their requirements or their demands? I don't know. How does it work?
Hi, Bongani, Trish here. I don't think the salaries are so much a problem as the lack of performance measurement. The problem here is not the fact that you're paying, or that we as taxpayers are paying huge amounts, but we're not getting anything for that. And that wouldn't happen in a private company, or shouldn't.
If I was an investor in a company or a member of their board, I am entitled to find out how the investment is being spent, what the return on that investment is, what salaries are being paid, and what the performance of the executives in that company that I've invested in looks like, and if it's garnering results. As a taxpayer, I believe it is our investment that runs these entities, and we have a right to know. Where is that money going? What are we getting for it?
And you know what? It's always white people that are complaining about salaries in state-owned entities. It's always white people that are complaining about how much black people are earning in these state-owned entities. They never have issues when white CEOs, white senior managers at private companies are raking in more than black people. Black people at private sector, they're at the bottom of the barrel. The difference in salary between blacks and white in private sector is so wide, and yet nobody is highlighting these issues.
I wonder about that. I wonder what the source of that information would be. I mean, some of the highest paid CEOs in South Africa in the private sector are black. And I don't know if Investec decides to pay its CEO based on the fact of the color of his skin as a comparison to somebody else who may be white elsewhere. I'm not quite sure that perception is backed up by the facts. I don't think race is quite the issue here. And perhaps what really the focus ought to be is at least some kind of measure of how these salaries are arrived at, because not all state-owned entities are not performing. And anybody who's going to be at the helm of Eskom, you better reward them appropriately. You could also make the argument, for example, that the Development Bank of South Africa isn't just a fish and chips shop. They are a development bank. Their mandate is to promote economic growth. They do this through development projects, infrastructure programs across the continent. These are large-scale projects that they finance. And so to be able to understand the complexity of something like that and do it well requires somebody who knows what they're doing, and that means you've got to pay them for what they do. So I think perhaps the real objection here is having a transparent way in which the public can understand how we arrive at those figures.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, and it's your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later, 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. Today's answer comes from Funwell, who is in Boksburg. Funwell, what's today's answer?
The answer today is 8701.
8701. 8701 is today's answer. That's an easy one, I think. Funwell, I'm told you've got a quote from Outsurance, so congratulations. You've won yourself 1,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to 702 and Outsurance. Right, here we go. Funwell says it is 8701. 8701 is the answer. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
18 minutes before 8 o'clock. All right. The cricket, Cindy, is something to watch down under.
It is.
I missed the tests, though.
That's okay. That's okay.
But anyway, we're playing the series with the Aussies.
Ooh. Anyway. Choked
Doing
on
this stuff,
myself.
yeah, you choke at
Choked
most
on myself.
awkward times.
Right. This is actually, so we will be seeing a lot more T20 and ODI cricket now because we're building up to the World Cup in Sri Lanka next year, which is February, March.
Yeah, you do understand somebody's going to be laughing.
I know about the Proteas.
As you spoke about the Proteas.
So let's see how they're going to be doing down under. The series does start on Sunday, and even Ryan Rickleton himself saying, we are a little rusty having played in the World Test Championship final.
I'm not too worried. Like I said, we've played a lot of cricket this year already. It's not something that you just lose full stop. So it'd take a few more sessions maybe for me to get going. But yeah, if I could be on song on Sunday, I'd give my arm for that. But I'll work hard to make sure that I am as close to it as possible. But if I'm watching the rest of the guys, they're really hitting the ball quite nicely. Like I say, we're never too far from getting where we need to be and we're putting in all the hard work behind the scenes.
Zimbabwe welcomes back the prodigal son, Brendan Taylor, for today's second test for New Zealand. Taylor had retired from cricket, revealing later he was battling with drug and alcohol addiction. He also served a 3-year ban for corruption in cricket, while New Zealand added Tom Latham to their injury list. Australia resisted making changes for the upcoming Rugby Championship games with the Springboks, only forced injury changes to the squad that played the British and Irish Lions. Tane Edmed comes in for fly half Tom Linner, who is concussion. Ryan Lonergan, one of 3 uncapped players, comes in, and Nick White putting his retirement on hold. Both those players in for the injured Jake Gordon. The other debutants are winger Corey Toole and prop Aiden Ross. Football transfer news. Former Spurs captain Son Heung-min completed his move to Los Angeles FC for a reported Major League Soccer record of $26.5 million over 2 years. The Betway Premiership opens this weekend. Leklogonolo Sima is in charge of the league's newest team, Siwelela FC, formed after the takeover of Supersport. The club hasn't moved to Bloemfontein yet, but will play Arrows there on Saturday.
I think it's the best time of state people and football lovers, and they will see the best of the team that is supported and our strength players, that we just need to make sure that we match that energy that will be there. I still have goosebumps now when we went to Bloemfontein to get unveiled. It was unbelievable.
In women's tennis, the Canada Open teenager Victoria Mboko came from a set down to beat Rybakina 1-6, 7-5 and 7-6 and will play Naomi Osaka in the final. Osaka beat Toson in straight sets. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
The special edition of the Clement Maniatella Show. This is the people's dialogue.
I'm Lindiwe, patriotism. You don't even feel it from the politicians. An example, Paul Mashatile's irresponsible response when the lotto was awarded. He's like, where are my friends and family supposed to do business? You can't respond like that.
Terry, we've spoken many times about the issue of race relations. Where are we sitting right now?
South Africa's not really interested in dealing with racism. In the white community, there's still that feeling that, oh my goodness, she's got a child that's black. Is he adopted? No. So how did you get him?
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
So for the first time, Africa is hosting the G20 and B20 summit, a landmark moment that puts the continent front and center of global conversations about solidarity, equality, and sustainability. RMB and FNB will bring you all you need to know in the lead up to the summit. So every Friday on 702, the G20 Correspondence Desk, brought to you by RMB and FNB, will deliver insightful wrap-ups of the key developments and big ideas shaping the summit. Discover why South Africa's G20 presidency is so significant for Africa and the world, and how RMB and FNB are strategically supporting themes of solidarity, equality, and sustainability. And you can learn about the vital role of the B20 in shaping global business policies and how public-private partnerships can unlock Africa's growth potential. So tomorrow on 702 Breakfast, we're speaking to Nana Kiri, who's the head of corporate client group at RMB, sharing expert views on how Africa's voice is making an impact in these conversations. And then the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Hey, honey, look. Went to the shops, like you asked, and it was the Deco Fern birthday sale. Picked up this amazing 3-seater sofa for only $5,599. And this coffee table, just $489. Oh, and this gorgeous standing mirror for like $699.
Wow, I just asked you to get some milk.
Get deals worth celebrating at Deco Fern Furniture's epic birthday sale with 10 to 40% and more off everything in-store or online now at decofurnsa.co.za.
You know greatness when you see it. Now it's time to celebrate it. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702. Powered by Yoko. Head to primediaplus.com to make your nomination.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Indwe, we take the time to understand your world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindwe.co.za. Indwe Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
This August, the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass is open to the public for the first time. So join Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albaser for 2 days of global case studies, including Real Madrid's winning formula, Netflix's streaming dominance. This is happening on the 11th and 12th of August at the Maslow Hotel in Sandton. Seats are limited. You can search Prime Media Sport Masterclass on Ticketmaster to book today.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by the new Opel Grandland. With smart tech and striking design, it's German engineering on a grand scale. Test drive one today at your nearest Opel dealer. Why are there delays in Centurion, Amo?
Bongani, particularly on the N14 east towards the Brockfontein interchange, an accident is reported there. Please be on the lookout and approach with care. If you're traveling within the same area, Old Johannesburg Road is backed up approaching Lenshin Avenue due to people trying to divert from this scene. And if you're traveling along Hendrik Verwoerd Drive, do expect more delays approaching the N14 bridge. Heading towards the Flying Saucer turn off, more delays approaching Babota Avenue. This is due to peak time delays. There's also queuing traffic reported on the R80 East approaching Eskiam Pahlele exit, also due to peak time pressure there. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
great entrance? Forget that. Make a grand entrance. Grand! Be late, make everyone wait, and be grateful they did. Peeps be rubbernecking, staring gormlessly like deer in your 50,000 intelligent LED headlights. Grand! Make a grand entrance in the new Opel Grandland, designed and made in Germany. Achtung, baby. Grand! It's even got massage seats. Uber Grand! Visit opel.co.za for more.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, thanks to Outsurance, please tell me what's the question. If the answer is 8701. Robin in Oakdean, what's the question?
Hi, the question is, what is the name of the album released by Usher on this day in 2001?
Which is exactly why he called it 8701, isn't it? August the 7th, 2001. And it launched a career that has, well, it wasn't the first album, so let me not say launched, but it was certainly part of a career that has dominated R&B and the sound of modern music. Robin in Oakdean, 2,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. Congratulations.
Yay, thank you.
Every bit counts, I can tell you that much.
I remember I was so obsessed with this album. I even my first bank card, the PIN was that number, 8701.
You don't really know, and everything in your past, you wanna let it go. I've been there, done it on the ground. After all that, this is what I found. Nobody wants to be alone. If you're touched by the words in the song,
oh man. What's the oddest inspiration you've had for a PIN number? Hey? 8701? That's not a bad one. It's almost too short, I think. Right? Do you get 4-digit PINs these days? You still do? What's the oddest or most odd combination that you came up with for a PIN so that you would always remember? Your grandmother's year of birth, for example? That's a good one.
Yeah. I know for a very long time, my brothers, sisters, and I, to a point where we had to sit down and discuss, guys, we have to drop this now.
You all had the same PIN?
We all had the same PIN. And when you send someone money for an e-wallet or whatever, the PIN would be the same. So if I ask my brother to send me money, you'd say, you know the PIN, because of course I know it, right? But we had to just say, guys, it's okay, it's enough now.
I don't know, that kind of works for me.
But whole family, you and your sibling, Bongs.
Outsurance made it possible for us to travel more with the money that we save. 725. This is really real.
You are the biggest saver we've ever had.
2,794 Rand a month. It was the easiest switch ever. Get real.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Did you know that the CSIR International Convention Center has over 40 years' experience in hosting international, local, and national business events? Located on a tranquil campus in Pretoria East, within the knowledge hub and science diplomacy capital, the city of Tshwane. It's a fit-for-purpose convention center, ideal for your association, congress, or other business events. For more information, visit csiricc.co.za. The CSIR International Convention Center, where smart minds meet.
Let me get this right, Ro. You're a plumber by day and Pretoria's smoothest wedding DJ by night.
Yeah, it started out as a passion and now I've got bookings until December. And a smoke machine that needs its own seatbelt.
And you sold your car to buy a van through We Buy Cars.
Bro, it was music to my ears. Zero admin, no long queues. They pulled in, checked it out, and before I knew it, I had cash in the bank.
Now that's a banger. We Buy Cars. Geared for your passion, geared for you.
Dear Journal, day 4602 of trying to be an adult. My doctor asked me how my quality of rest is at the moment. I told him I have two problems. I struggle to sleep at night, but I also struggle to awake at day.
aggressively realizing your age? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's simple and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Step inside the business of sport and entertainment with Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albaser at the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass. You can explore the rise of Netflix in the streaming wars, the billion-dollar world of Grand Theft Auto 6, and the strategies of global sports leaders. It's happening on the 11th and 12th of August at the Maslow Hotel in Sandton. Book your seat now at Ticketmaster.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
And it's time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Bella.
You can't escape them, can you?
No, they will hunt you down and get hold of you as often as they can try.
There are people with very particular skills acquired over a long career, and they will find you, and they'll call you.
Gosh, I mean, these call center agents, you just can't escape them. I mean, if you think on a daily basis how many times your phone rings and you look at the number that's on your phone, you just know most of the time that those numbers that come up are from call center agents. So this guy was out in the wild, hanging on the side of a mountain, South African guy, and he was climbing some very big mountain with beautiful scenery, and he obviously documents some of his adventures. So his phone rang, and amazingly, it had reception there, and he answered the phone, and it was an insurance telesalesperson, and this was the response that he had to the person offering him some insurance.
If you saw where I am, darling, my premium would be incredibly high. We're going to have to respectfully decline the opportunity. Thank you very much, though. No worries. You too. Goodbye.
Very, very polite. And if you look at the video, he is miles up on this mountain and there's beautiful scenery around him. And that's why he said his premium would be very, very high. But, when you answer your phone, if you happen to answer your phone when these people call, do you have a standard response? Or do you just let the phone ring, or do you let Truecaller do its job and ignore it? But when you do answer it, how do you respond? Do you listen and say, no, I'm not interested at all, and put down the phone on them? Or do you just let them do their thing and then say, thank you very much, I have to respectively decline?
All right, what's your standard answer if you do happen to pick up that telemarketer's call? Because sometimes you're actually expecting an important call. It could be a client, it could be a business-related conversation, and so you don't know if it's the call you've been waiting for, right? And so you pick up the phone, and you know within seconds, oh boy. How do you let them down gently? Because you appreciate this is somebody trying to do their job. They're shooting their shot. And of course, if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. If people didn't genuinely respond at times, and I don't know what the rate is of getting clients, but it obviously sometimes works. That's why they do it.
702.
702.
Feedback.
With Rupfiwa Kone.
Mrs. K,
yeah, well,
what do you say to telemarketers?
You know what, Bongani, I'm very polite because I've been in sales before. I know what it feels like. If I do have some time on my hands, I do hear them out, give them an opportunity to practice on me, act interested, and then
with that voice,
just decline.
You could be a telemarketer yourself with that voice.
I was in the sales space for quite some time, Bongani.
With that voice. You made people part with their millions, didn't you? Now you're here to make up for all your sins.
Now I'm here, Bongani.
What else do you have?
Bongani, listeners are reacting to your conversation on the big interview about CEO salaries. They say it isn't about pushing punishing success, but rather it's about restoring balance, redirecting funds to improve services and hold leaders accountable. If SOEs continue to fail, the entire country suffers. And until there's meaningful oversight and reform, elite enrichment will remain a bitter insult to struggling South Africans.
Yeah, I thought the argument about private sector companies turning a profit, well, that's what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Some of these SOEs, that's not their mandate. But as you say, if at least they're doing what they're supposed to, then we can have a different conversation about remuneration.
Bongani, and on the other hand, we had a caller, John from Pretoria, who argued that CEOs' high salaries may be justified if they are appointed to fix crucial issues.
Yeah.
And that's what he noted.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Pay Dan Marukane as sweetie, pay
Much
that
as
man
is.
money. The lights are going to stay on, pay him the money.
Absolutely, Bongani.
It's 8 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Trump's sweeping new tariffs take effect against dozens of countries, and more illegal miners are expected in court in Barberton. Flowing into the United States of America. Meanwhile, the ANC says it will not into the United States of America. Meanwhile, the ANC says it will not abandon transformative policies like BEE and the Expropriation Act, even if it means its leaders get sanctioned by the US government. While the sweeping tariffs apply to other countries, the ANC says it believes South Africa is being punished for some of its legislation. Tabiso Goba reports.
Earlier this year, US President Donald Trump falsely claimed the South African government was using the Expropriation Act to seize land from white farmers. In April, controversial Republican politician Ronnie Jackson introduced a bill to Congress which seeks to review the US's relationship with South Africa and sanction corrupt ANC officials. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says the Trump administration seems intent on not engaging honestly.
So is to basically coerce us to do things that are anti-transformation. It's not possible. If it means we're going to suffer through sanctions as leaders of the ANC, let it be. We'll never back imperialists.
Mbalula has acknowledged the US tariffs will have a huge negative impact on the country's economy. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
The final group of illegal miners who emerged from a mine in Mpumalanga will appear in court this morning. The total number of detained Zamazamas since a police raid last Friday at Sheba Gold Mine in Barberton is now more than 550. 2 injured miners are still in hospital, but police say they will proceed with the case whether the men appear in courts or in absentia. Mongezi Koko has more.
The final group comes days after police operations under Valum Kodi, which netted 496 illegal miners. Yesterday, 2 of the 24 miners who resurfaced on Monday were granted bail, both South Africans with valid IDs and private lawyers. The rest of that group, mostly foreign nationals without passports, was remanded in custody. The miners face charges including theft, trespassing and possession of gold-bearing equipment. Provincial Police spokesperson Donald Mdluli.
It will depend on these 2 on their health status, whether they will appear with the 28. If they are better, then they will appear. If not, then it will be their appearance in absentia.
Operation Valum Kodi is ongoing as police and mine management continue to monitor the extensive network of illegal mining routes. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Barberton.
The investigators in the DJ Somebody murder case say they have lodged a formal complaint with prosecution bosses over the release of controversial businessman Katiso Molefe in a separate murder case. Molefe returned to the Alexandra Magistrates Court yesterday, where he made a formal bail application. He's accused of being the mastermind behind the hits of the popular DJ, who is known as Opa Sifoka, and Hector Butelezi, who went by the name of DJ Vintos. Khomotso reports.
When Katiso KT Molefe was arrested last month in connection with the murder of DJ Somebody, he was out on bail and on trial for a hit on Vereniging engineer Armand Swart. Molefe was initially denied bail in the Vereniging Magistrates Court, but took that decision on appeal in the High Court and was granted bail on new facts by Gauteng Deputy Judge President Aubrey Ledwaba. Prosecutors have addressed the Alexandra Magistrates Court on this decision while opposing Molefe's release.
The investigating team have
submitted a letter of complaint to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution for them to read, review, and consider an appeal against the granting of appeal. The DPP's office in Pretoria indicated that they are considering our complaint.
Molefe will return to the court for his bail hearing to continue next week. Komzodise, Eyewitness News in Alexandra.
Gold is trading at $3,378.12 an ounce. The rand is at 17.74 to the dollar, 23.72 to the pound, 20.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the N12 West. This is between Davidton and Atlas Road. That's due to a major accident scene. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Buccleuch interchange.
In your sport, Australia coach Joe Schmidt makes a host of injury force changes to his rugby championship squad to play the Springboks. Fly half Richie Mwanga returns to New Zealand and is now eligible for the All Blacks. And Naomi Osaka will play Victoria Mboko in the final of the Canada Open.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected today. The temperatures will peak at highs of 15 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: Donald Trump's controversial tariffs have officially kicked in, making it more expensive for dozens of countries to sell their goods and products to Americans.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Your favorite local business could be a Gauteng legend. Nominate them now on primediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 8 o'clock, welcome to 702 Breakfast. We had a conversation that's quite interesting about the remuneration of state-owned entity CEOs. Apples for apples, I think CEOs in the private sector make a whole lot more money because, of course, the private sector is a profit-driven enterprise, right? Many of these entities in the public sector have to deliver and not consider profit at all. However, if they're failing to deliver on their core mandate, should the executives get paid so much? On the other hand, you might argue, but you need people who are well remunerated to get them going again where they have been failing. Where are you on that side of the fence? A little earlier, we told you that it was Charlize Theron's 50th birthday today. Happy birthday, Charlize. I want you to listen to a conversation she had with Jimmy Fallon, one of the late-night talk show hosts in the US, talking about Gen Alpha slang, right? Gen Alpha are the young kids of today. How old is Gen Alpha again? It's below 16, I think. It's 15 and below. Nonetheless, have a listen.
That's the problem. You learn it and then they don't use it anymore. Like Riz, they don't use anymore. Riz is done now. You can't say Riz. Mom, don't say that. I'm like, okay, you just said it yesterday. My favorite was the other day. She said, this is what I thought she said. I thought she said, you're eating your face or something. And I was like, what? She's like, that means your face looks good. But it's really...
Wait, you mean like your face ate? Or
your face is eating. Yes. Yeah. And your makeup is eating down. Face is eating and your makeup is... And it's all good.
Yes, that's great things.
It's all good.
You want your face to be eating.
Yeah, and you want your makeup eating down.
Oh, wow. Hey, Gen Alpha, I've just quickly Googled it. Kids born from 2010 to 2024. This is Gen Alpha, and this is how they speak. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, we're streaming. Muteo has the best lighting. Amo and I are so jealous, right, Amo?
Of course.
Because his face is eating.
Doesn't sound right.
Yeah, his
face is eating, says Gen Alpha. Right. What are some phrases you are hearing if you've got Gen Alphas in your life that make you go, huh? You know what's the funniest? Is their discovery of the word demure. Right? Because it was always a word and they used it in exactly the right way, right? But they seem to think they've invented the word demure for people who are reserved, modest, or shy. So apparently you can't say Riz. Did we ever say Riz? I've got mad Riz. Do you have mad Riz, Mateo? Careful how you answer.
A very long time ago.
I didn't know. I had to look it up. Mad Riz apparently means you've got charm or even the ability to flirt. Hence, as a married man, Mateo must be very careful how he answers that question. Do you know what they mean when they say something is bussin'? That drink is bussin'? That McFrappe is bussin'? It means it's very good. And it's usually a reference to food, right? Cap? You're a hip-hop fan. You should know cap. What does cap mean, Mateo?
Is when you are lying, basically. You're capping.
That's cap. Wow. That's cap.
And if you say something and you want somebody, if you say something and you want to assure someone that it's factual, you say no cap.
Ah. You know what the one I like? Is say less. Say less.
That's the one I never really got.
Say less. So you don't need gotcha. I understand. Point made. Got it.
Oh,
We're doing that. Say less.
Say less.
Say less. You don't need to say any more. You've convinced me. You've won me over. That makes say less. What are the Gen Alphas in your life telling you?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Morning, Bongani. KG here. So how I deal with telemarketers, it's something that I got from a colleague that he says his wife was using whenever they called her. So I stole the idea and I just tell them that my husband doesn't allow me to make financial decisions without him. And then usually they'll say, no, but then let's call him and try and talk to him. And then I tell them, no, we can't call him, because if we call him, it means that I've sort of made the financial decision and he will not be happy with me. And then they hang up.
Hey, Bongs and team, good morning. With regards to telemarketers, I always try to maintain humor as much as possible and make the call bearable and also very short so that we don't get to waste each other's time. However, on Monday, I had everybody laughing in my team at my workplace because I received a call from one of them and they were offering me car insurance. So their first question was, do you have a car? Because I would like to offer you a car insurance. And I was like, no, I don't have a car. But fortunately, I have a bicycle. Do you have bicycle insurance? And they laughed, and everybody in my team was in stitches. They couldn't believe it. They're like, we're going to use the same line. Thank you so much. Great show as always. Bye.
Morning, Bongani and the team. Bongani, Rofua Kone has got a beautiful voice. If she had to sell me something, I would definitely give her a deal. She's got a nice voice, I'm telling you. I will part with my money for that voice. Yeah, she's got a wonderful voice.
Good morning, Bongani. My general response to these telemarketers is, what list did you get my number off? And more often than not, they then put on the phone. It's obviously a clear example that the Poppy Act is not necessarily working. Another thing that we've just implemented, it's not providing any solutions.
I would certainly buy if Rofua Kone was selling something with that voice. What excuse do you use to try and get rid of telemarketers and let them down gently? I wonder if I shouldn't try that, hey? Because I'm a man. So imagine if I say, oh no, my husband doesn't allow me to make financial decisions. It'll be so awkward. No, I have a husband, but he doesn't allow me to make financial decisions. Shame.
Then you find someone progressive, like, oh, no. Let's have
get
a
his
chat
number.
to him.
EWN Traffic.
14 after 8. This Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Amo?
Bongani, it's so dark and gloomy outside. If you are traveling on the roads, please do keep your headlights on and avoid speeding and drive with care. But if you're traveling on the N12 West, right as you leave Benoni, do expect heavy traffic volumes. This is due to an accident reported right near Atlas Road. Delays from Snake Road. There's also queuing traffic on Tom Jones as well as Great North Road as a result. If you are traveling on the N3 North, delays between Van Buren and the Gillies interchange. And in the city of Tshwane, we've got more delays at the intersection of Nelmepius Drive and Main Road, Irene, as well as on the R21 North towards the Flying Saucer turn off. Please be on the lookout and drive with care. We'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
I was in another insurance company and I wasn't happy. One of my colleagues was also without insurance and she was happy. My niece is without insurance and she's happy. Then I just decided I wanted that happiness.
What was the real deal they could offer you?
870.
Every month?
Every month.
That's amazing. You're always getting something out.
Yeah.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
What brought you in Outsurance together?
Let me just jump on the call with them. Let me just see what's happening. He asked a lot of things about my vehicle, my sexy vehicle over here.
Ooh.
yeah. And to my surprise, 718 Rand I end up saving. And this awesome product called Panic Assist. 24-hour security if we need their help. Thinking I'm a father, I need to look out for my family.
Absolutely. They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
From women's sport to private equity in entertainment, the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass brings world-class learning to South Africa. Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albiser will unpack the New York Liberty's WNBA turnaround, Redbird Capital's bold move with Paramount and AC Milan, and so much more. 11 and 12 August at the Maslow Hotel. Tickets available now on Ticketmaster.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 after 8. From retirement realities to workplace reform. We're in conversation with Old Mutual Corporate discussing ways to move South Africa's workforce forward. South Africa, of course, we have a well-documented retirement crisis. But I think what's often misunderstood is the ability of employers to help solve some of this problem, particularly for those in their employ. And we're also changing the country, the world. The labor market isn't what it used to be. And I think this exacerbates the problem even more. The world of work, remote work, there's many people who are now in jobs where they will never have a permanent employer making some of these decisions for them. So what does the future of retirement savings look like in South Africa? We've invited Blessing Utete, who's the managing executive for Old Mutual Corporate Consultants, to also talk about, of course, the Thought Leadership Forum taking place on the 12th of August at the Marriott in Melrose Arch. And it's all about moving insight to action. And the conversation has to be about how employers, industry, and perhaps even government can collaborate to make sure that South Africans have better retirement outcomes than is the case at the moment. Blessing, welcome back to 702 Breakfast. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning to you and to your listeners. It's good to be here again.
So this is your second Thought Leadership Forum. We're now going to make this an annual thing?
Yes.
That's the plan?
Yeah, we're looking to making it a regular thing.
What's the conversation this year? How have we shifted from how we started last year?
So last year, you recall, we were on the cusp of the two-pot system, and there was a lot of buzz in the industry around how that's going to happen. We're a year down the line now, and this year's forum is really about driving more collaboration between employers, industry, and policymakers to turn these insights that we've started to get from even the two-pot, or even the data we had before, into how do we change this retirement crisis that we have in South Africa. So we're really spotlighting the sustainable solutions that can be used. Things like consolidation, preservation, policy reform, and how do we innovate to really get change into the retirement outcomes of individuals.
You've just reminded me of how quickly the news cycle moves on because, of course, as you correctly point out, the two-pot system was the news of the day. A forum like this will obviously offer a lot of insight based on the people you have there and the discussions that will be held. But how do we convert that insight into action?
So at the forum, we've got some very well-known speakers coming to talk to us next week, Tuesday. And we in the forum are looking really at what are the practical things that we can have a conversation with and can really become a reality. So there's a lot you mentioned in your introduction, what employers can do. You know, they're at the coalface of looking after these employees' benefits, and retirement is part of that. So how they design those benefits is also something that employers need to be aware. Then we also think about policy. What is the next change that needs to happen in our environment from the big change that we had in two-pot? We know we don't cover enough people in this formal retirement fund setup that we have. So we're looking forward to conversations around policy. How can we move along policy so we don't lose the momentum we've got from the two-pot system that was set up?
Let's talk about some of those guests that you've brought in. I think Professor Adrian Saville is going to be speaking. You've got Paul Watson coming in from Australia. How does an outsider looking into our picture contribute to that conversation?
So, I mean, Paul Watson is from Australia, a seasoned professional who's worked through the retirement fund landscape in Australia. Australia has interestingly gone through a lot of reform, and we also going through need a lot of reform to get to the right place. And really, he's talking to us about their 35-year journey and the perspectives that they had to cover and the challenges they had to cover to transform their industry to really an industry that's very successful, that's now well over sort of 4 trillion Australian dollars, and really seeing better outcomes for their employees. Then Professor Sal, he's really talking about the correlation between what we save in retirement funds and what it does for the greater South Africa.
Blessing, someone might argue that, hang on, aren't we once again asking the private sector to step in beyond what they are supposed to be doing in terms of this kind of conversation? Is it really their role to be making sure that South Africans do the right thing? Where's the government in this conversation?
Look, it's a collaboration, Bongani, and I think government has done a lot in terms of moving ahead the industry in terms of policy reform. As I said, two-pot was the biggest change we've seen in the industry, and that's really positive change because that meant that people do not take up all their money and use it, they can preserve. But generally in the forum, we do have industry stakeholders that are going to join us, some policymakers. So really it is about collaboration. What is it that employers can do? What is it that industry players like us can do? And what is it that the policymakers in the government can do?
I mentioned the gig economy in my introduction. There are many young people now, maybe late 20s, even early 30s, who have never worked in formal employment for a single employer. It's always been about this gig and the next one, right? How does the retirement conversation fit in for them?
So Subhan, I think it's really about, one of the things is really about education. So if you're going into an environment where there's flexible work, short-term work, but you also still need to know that you're looking after yourself in the future. So really important that you structure solutions that actually are going to be able to benefit you and release the funds you need to survive in retirement when you get to retirement.
Yeah, but some of those people will say, unlike somebody who is in full-time employment, money comes in waves. And so there are periods where, you know, there's a bit of a trough and not getting much in based on whatever gigs may not be available. How then do I think about savings, which is normally a structured process that requires some kind of consistent investment or input? How do I do so if I'm in the gig economy?
So if you're in the gig economy, you are earning some money, as you say, in peaks and troughs. You've got to structure how you contribute to a retirement savings vehicle in that manner. So there are solutions there that you can downweight and upweight contributions towards your retirement. So depending on what you're earning and the flow in which you get your income, you can adjust. And there are solutions out there that you can utilize to actually get you to save and get you to the right outcome when you get to retirement. Because there's a real danger in utilizing all your money when it comes and not actually putting some aside.
Because if it's uncertain now, you can imagine what it'll be like in retirement. The 12th of August, the Old Mutual Thought Leaders Forum. You can visit oldmutual.co.za /Thought Leaders Forum to learn more and download the latest Mindspace publication.
There's power in a single partner who helps you build a better employee benefits strategy. Begin with retirement, the foundation of securing your employee's future. Now layer in everyday health, mental wellness, and financial balance. And finally, essential protection for life's curveballs, from illness to income loss. Now that sounds like a complete benefit strategy, one that protects your people and powers your business. Talk to us at employeebenefits@oldmutual.com about Old Mutual Corporate's integrated employee benefits solutions. Old Mutual Corporate is a division of Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited, a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
702, The World View
with Adam Gilchrist.
25 after 8, let's catch up with news from around the world. Let's start with these claims made by Israel. Adam, the United Nations saying not quite true.
No, they're rather at odds over the true story of what's going on in Gaza. Nadav Shoshani, a spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces, he insists Israel is not restricting aid, he says, and troops are not firing at people at aid centers. The UN reports Israeli forces and foreign military contractors have continued to open fire, and that 1,400 people have been killed and 4,000 injured while seeking food. And yesterday, just to show the desperation of people, because whoever's fault it is, there certainly isn't enough food in Gaza. 20 people dead, 30 people injured, because when 4 aid trucks arrived, they were so overwhelmed by desperate people that they toppled over and the overturned trucks crushed people beneath. Shoshani makes a good point that Hamas doesn't always wear uniforms and they are pursuing an agenda. They're trying to make Israel look like the bad guys, although frankly, Israel is doing a good enough job without the help of Hamas. But it's that thing. How do we know what we know? And I keep thinking with Gaza and Ukraine and beyond, when you're seeking the truth and when journalists are not allowed to report independently from those areas, then it's very difficult to know how to play that straight line. And I guess in Gaza, we have a feeling we know what's going on, but are we sure?
I suppose that's the whole point of not letting journalists in, that whatever they report can always be questioned whilst you continue doing the worst. Let's move across now, continents. Let's go to Donald Trump. Those secondary tariffs, I know they're taking effect for us today.
Well, yeah. Well, I think yours are primary tariffs, aren't they? They're about the balance of payments.
Yes.
Technically speaking. But the secondary tariffs are all about who you're cozying up to. So, of course, this might be a little bit of a back foot moment for quite a few countries who do trade with Russia, South Africa included. But the secondary tariffs, for instance, already have kicked in for India, where its tariff of 25% has now doubled to 50% simply because it's been buying Russian oil. Although India has made a point that it was kind of America that persuaded them to buy Russian oil originally, because it was all part of a who gets what kind of carve up of oil around the country, around the world. So any country, according to Donald Trump, any country supporting Russia's war machine in Ukraine will be hurt. Now let's take the European Union, which is still, despite attempts to slow it down, is still buying a fair bit of Russian oil and gas, and yet is also spending heaps on weapons for Ukraine. So, and has also already done a deal with Donald Trump. How on earth, therefore, would secondary tariffs apply there, or will they not? You still feel like it's a very unlevel playing field when it comes to who is getting taxed out of existence and who is getting a sort of reasonable price to go with it. But as a way forward, it does still feel like the tariff trade war is not done yet. It's going to have some victims, isn't it?
It also makes it difficult to operate, especially and to deal with the Americans, because one day they tell you do this, the next they want to punish you for doing exactly what they told you.
Absolutely right.
Italy's bridge too far?
Maybe. It's a bridge that they are now, they've got final approval to do. So the Italian government has signed it off, a 13.5 billion euro project to build the world's longest suspension bridge. So we're talking 280 billion rand to build a 3.3 kilometer suspension bridge that will connect the island of Sicily to the rest of Italy, to the region of Calabria. So the island will be bolted onto the tip of the boot, is the idea. The designers claim the bridge will be able to withstand earthquakes, and there are quite a few in that part of the Mediterranean. It has been mooted and I guess booted many times before. One concern previously was mafia meddling. Another that this is the poorer end of Italy. Is it worth it? And you can also bet that 280 billion rand won't be the final bill. Like, you know, even if you're building a shed, you always have to add on another third, don't you? Goodness knows for a bridge like that. But how's this for an Italian two-step with a bit of soft shoe shuffle thrown in? They're hoping to classify the bridge as a military expenditure, and therefore it will count towards the NATO target of spending 5% of your economy on defense. Yeah, a civilian bridge as a military adornment?
Lots of questions still to be asked about that one. Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
Business News, a final wrap-up this morning. The competition regulator approving that Time Bank and Sanlam Loans merger.
The Competition Tribunal has given the nod to the merger between Time Bank and Sanlam's personal loans business. The digital lender will acquire a 50% stake in Sanlam Personal Loan Services, which will be renamed Sanlam Time Joint Venture Company. Time Bank will pay approximately 400 million rand for half of the loan book, plus the capital value. Sanlam will be boosted by Time Bank's digital infrastructure, including its sophisticated systems, while Time Bank will also gain a foothold in a more established lending operation. The joint venture will also take over a portion of Sanlam Personal Loans' existing unsecured loan book valued at around 5 billion rand. The transaction will require approval from the South African Reserve Bank's Prudential Authority. The date to complete the transaction is set for the 31st of March next year.
USA, made in the USA, says Apple.
Made in the USA. Apple is investing another $100 billion to expand its operation in the United States. The investment comes after the tech giant already committed $500 billion to growing its domestic footprint earlier this year. This as tariffs levied by Trump on U.S. trading partners have cost Apple billions. U.S. President Donald Trump also announcing he would impose a 100% tariff on chip imports with an exemption for companies that are building in the United States. Now, Apple has announced it will use chips produced by Samsung Electronics at the South Korean company's Texas facility for its devices, including iPhones.
Now, RSA, where's the rand?
17 rand 75, doing well against the dollar, 20 rand 72 cents against the euro, and you'll need 23 rand 73 cents to get a British pound. Price of gold also in the good at $3,377 an ounce, while platinum is slightly lower at $1,335. Brent crude at $67.32 a barrel. Stephen Rogers takes care of business later this afternoon.
Straight to the news desk we go, and in this next half an hour we're going to be talking about women authors, particularly the young one. We'll talk to the South African Literary Awards Executive Director. In the meantime,
last month, Council Whip Thembiso Zungu will take over from Masugu at Shared Services. The Patriotic Alliance has laid a criminal complaint against podcasters for insulting the coloured community and laid out a further series of actions it plans to take against them in a legal letter. Last night, party leader Gayton McKenzie told supporters that the party would also protest against the SABC for streaming the offensive episode of the Open Chats podcast. The party says next steps include lodging a case in the Equality Court and submitting a complaint at the South African Human Rights Commission after the podcasters referred to coloured people as crazy and claimed they have sexual relations with their relatives. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
PA leader Gayton McKenzie says it's time coloured people stand up against stereotyping and racial discrimination. In a lawyer's letter to the Open Chats podcasters, the PA says their comments in the offending episode constitute hate speech.
I have no intention of destroying them. It has become too easy to insult coloured people in this country.
While McKenzie was addressing supporters last night, the party's new recruit, former MP Liam Jacobs, was live recording his visit to the Brooklyn police station, where he lodged a complaint of crimen injuria. Mckenzie says his party will also march on the studio where the podcast is recorded and to the SABC for failing to check the episode before flighting it.
What makes me furious is that's not life. So where is the control?
In an apology posted on their platforms, the podcasters say they never intended to cause harm, neither to promote racism and discrimination. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The Mthatha High Court in the Eastern Cape is set to call more witnesses this morning in the Lusikisiki mass murder trial. Yesterday, 2 witnesses completed their testimonies about the attack where 18 people were shot in Gobozana village last year. 6 men have been accused of mass murder and face charges including conspiracy to commit murder. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
For the first time since the trial got underway last week, yesterday the court heard testimony about the brutal Ngobozana village killings. One of the witnesses is among those who survived the killing when gunmen stormed their home and opened fire. She gave full testimony while in tears, recalling the violent incident that claimed the life of her only daughter, Ruth King. She says the last memory she has of the night is her child crying for help before being shot. Meanwhile, another witness whose wife was killed in the attack says the incident left him with trauma. New witnesses are set to take to the stand in the matter to give their accounts of the ordeal. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng today with showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 6 and 8 degrees, peaking at highs of 15.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the N3 south in the Germiston area. It's right near the Elands interchange. Delays from the Geldenhuys turn off. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 west between Benoni and Atlas Road. This is due to a major accident. Please be on the lookout there.
The top story this hour, Joburg Mayor Dada Morero has restructured his mayoral committee.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m, we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour. From news to global events, business, sports, science, books and always some good news too. Appointment listening every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Selling your car shouldn't be a mission. We Buy Cars gets it. Life's short and time's precious. So get an offer online and sell your car within a day from wherever it suits you. It's really that simple with We Buy Cars. Shopping for your new ride? Discover thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted way to sell and buy cars.
Meet the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, re-engineered to be our thinnest and lightest foldable yet. Move with confidence, powered by an ultra-sleek, ultra-slim design that adapts wherever life takes you. Open your world to expansive screens, seamlessly crafted for work and play. It's innovation that fits your pocket. Upgrade to the new Galaxy Z Fold 7 and get double the storage on us. Hurry, offer ends 31 August. T's and C's apply.
Vodacom's Red Hot Deals presents Home Internet with 600 gigs of data when you get the Vodacom Max 2 5G router for only $449 per month over 36 months. Stream, zoom and game all at once with up to 30 megabits per second download speed. Available in-store and online. Miss it? Miss out. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko are back, celebrating local business, backed by you. Submit your nomination now on primediaplus.com.
For the first time ever, the G20 summit is being hosted on African soil, a global movement and moment of solidarity, equality and sustainability with Africa at the center. So tune in next week Friday for the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702. And it's brought to you by RMB and FNB, proud sponsors of this year's G20 summit. And catch 702 Breakfast tomorrow as Nana Pir, the head of corporate client group at RMB, shares expert views on how Africa's voice is shaping global conversations. RMB and FNB are divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
welcome to Nando's Customer Care. How can I fire up your...
Finally, can I actually just speak to the manager? It's about the chicken. Why did you marinate it for 24 hours? 24 hours, 86,400 seconds to marinate. Why? Well, I mean, it is really tender, juicy, and that delicious Nando's peri-peri flavor just warms me up. And then you add any 3 sharing sides, and I guess, well, there is nothing like it. But that is my complaint. I can't complain.
Nando's, fire it up.
This August, the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass is open to the public for the first time. Join Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albaser for 2 days of global case studies, including Real Madrid's winning formula, Netflix streaming dominance. It's happening on the 11th and 12th of August at the Maslow Hotel in Sandton. Seats are limited. Search Prime Media Sport Masterclass on Ticketmaster to book today.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hey, how's it, Bongani? How's it, 702 land? It's Stephen here. Quite a big step by the ANC around Kill the Boer. I remember so clearly reporting for EWN, back in 2011, how young we were, Bongani. But watching Gwede Mantashe in the Equality Court in Joburg, in the High Court there, testifying as to why the ANC was defending the use of the song. And there's a lot of internal ANC politics at the time with Julius Malema then. But I think a lot's changed in the country. I think a lot's changed in the ANC. I don't think the ANC is just sort of saying, you know, this is because of Trump. I think the way that people see the world has changed. So I think quite a big step on an issue that's really been with us for such a long time now. Anyway, check you later. Cheers.
Fikile Mbalula sounds exactly like another man. Donald Trump, you can have your America and we will have our South Africa. Yeah, and we remember how that turned out for that country.
I played you clips a little earlier on from that media briefing by the African National Congress yesterday, where the Secretary General Fikile Mbalula said, "Bring it on, America." This, of course, as there are threats by some U.S. politicians for the sanctioning of ANC leaders. And he says, we're not going to change our tune. He did, however, concede that perhaps the song Kill the Boer no longer has a place in South Africa, and said no ANC member will be allowed to sing that song any longer. And I think it comes 30 years too late. I think post-1994, there should never have been a place, whatever the historical context originally, for that song. I think there should never have been any place for it in democratic South Africa. The origins and the struggle notwithstanding. So we are here now, and that concession has been made by the ANC. It remains to be seen whether other parties who are still singing that song will follow suit, and at what point.
EWN Sport.
All right, Cindy Paluta, it's going to be rugby for the next few weeks.
Yep.
I think there's been a lot of build-up to what is now going to unfold in terms of the test matches that the Springboks have played, and we're spoiled for choice, but we've got some stiff competition now.
Yeah, we do, and it's the Rugby Championship, and it's always good to test ourselves against the Southern Hemisphere. I mean, we play the inbound series is generally Northern Hemisphere teams, and we play in the United Rugby Championship, which is all Northern Hemisphere teams. So it'll be very great to have the Rugby Championship starting, and of course, at next week at Ellis Park is the opening match between the Springboks and Australia. And Australia coach Joe Schmidt didn't bring any surprises in his squad that will be travelling here. There's 3 debutants: winger Corey Toole, prop Aiden Ross, and scrum half Ryan Lonergan and Nick White are in for Jake Gordon. White had to delay his retirement due to the injury crisis. Tane Edmed comes in for fly half Tom Linnach, who has concussion. Brandon Payenga Mosa got a late call-up for the Lions test. He keeps his place after injuries to David Parecki and Matt Faisler. News from the All Black camp, where Richie Bonga will leave Japan to play Super Rugby from next year. That makes him eligible for national selection. The Betway Premiership opens this weekend. Leklokonolo Sima, in charge of the league's newest team, Siwelele FC, admits some of the pre-season work was rushed. They haven't had a chance to fully gel just yet.
The players here, we are working very hard. And I wasn't joking when I say we still try to find each other. We definitely working hard, and we want to make sure that we give our supporters a very, very good opening game in Bloemfontein.
Former Spurs captain Son Heung-min completed his move to LAFC for a reported MLS record $26.5 million over 2 years. In tennis at the Montreal Open, Victoria Mboko came from a set down to beat Rybakina and will play Naomi Osaka in the final. Osaka beat Tosin in straight sets. Well, on the men's side, Ben Shelton beat Taylor Fritz 6-4, 6-3 and will play Kachanov in the final. Kachanov beat Zverev in 3 sets. And the second test between New Zealand and Zimbabwe starts at 10 this morning. New Zealand don't have Tom Latham, while for Zimbabwe, Brennan Taylor returns, having served his 3-year ban for corruption, and he also battles drug and alcohol addiction. Bongani,
I have a copy of Cindy Paluta's bulletin.
You are looking at me so strangely.
No. You were perfect, my dear. I'm looking at all these names you have to read in a single bulletin, right? So who's Ben Shelton playing against? Next.
Is it not? Oh, the tennis. Sorry. Okay.
Kachanov.
Kachanov,
right?
yeah.
He's playing Kachanov.
Yes.
And then in the same bulletin, you've got to tell us about Richie Moonga. Brandon Paenga Amosa. Ryan who? Lonergan.
Ryan
the scrum half.
Lonergan. He's a debutant in the Australia side. And then the one that I was concerned about was the fly half, Tom Linnach. So you got to worry because I know that the Australians don't really have the sound.
Yeah.
So you got to worry if it's Tom Linnach, Tom Lineag, Tom Lineach,
Probably comes from Irish, right? Or Gaelic.
I'm sure.
That's probably the better.
But the secret to success with sports broadcasting is to say it with such confidence that the audience believes that's the pronunciation.
I believe you. I will not fight you on any of these words. It's amazing, actually.
But it's the same as the Australians trying to pronounce our surnames, right? So they must have looked at somebody like Makazola Mapimpi, which rolls off your tongue, and gone Makazole. Do you get what I'm saying? So when we say names like Brandon Paenga Mosa, which is from the Fiji region, you kind of go, huh?
I have to work at it. I have to listen. You make it sound so easy.
So a name I do know, Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
KG is completely mesmerized. That's why I played that audio too late. All right, Amo. If Cindy can pronounce all these sports stars, you've got to pronounce all these places.
And road names. Isn't that fascinating?
Go for it.
Well, we've got delays on the N12 West. This is in the Benoni area. So delays coming out of Snake Road all the way towards Atlas. This is due to a major accident scene while traveling in Germiston. Another scene on the N3 South before the airlines turn off. Delays from the Geldenhuys interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 North between the Crown interchange and Cars Street while traveling in the city of Tshwane. Delays along the N1 North between Bota Avenue and the Linwood Road exit. Please be on the lookout there. I'll have your next traffic update at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Starting, of course, very important conversations, not only for the station or the show, but really for the country. Clement Manyatela, good morning. How are you feeling on the back of yesterday's success?
I'm good. You know, after yesterday, I said to Alistair, our boss, can I do my show like that with a live audience every day? Because it's so much fun.
The Clement Manyatela show is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Right.
Remember how they used to say that at the end of sitcoms?
Yes.
To explain the laughter.
Wait, actually, I don't remember.
Canned laughter.
Was that in 1920?
Wow. What's on the show? Let's give him 10 seconds. KG, hey?
Okay. Coming up on the show, we're going to reflect on the People's Dialogue that we had yesterday. There were some interesting things that were said by the audience that participated, and I'd like to pick up on some of them and get just some further reaction to that. And then we are, of course, going to talk about these 30% tariffs that have officially kicked in today. Donald Trump says, billions of dollars are flowing into the American economy. That's what he tweeted. But between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're going to do the Hanging Out feature. And today, I'm hanging out with an award-winning artist. He's an author, a businessman, a broadcaster, Sibusiso Leope, a.k.a. DJ Sbu. So we're going to get to know him better between 10 and 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we do our Thursday dialogue. And today, I'm asking whether South Africa can handle a 3% inflation target. There's a power struggle now between the National Treasury and the Reserve Bank over the control of monetary policy, particularly around the question of whether inflation target should be reduced to this 3% or targeted at 3%. So what does it...
Why don't they just call each other?
They've
got each other's phone numbers, because I think the subtleties around this issue are blowing it bigger than it perhaps needs to be.
Yeah. So the problem is, from what I've heard from people in the Reserve Bank, is that this is a conversation that's been ongoing for so long, and there is no decision that is being made. So now you get the Reserve Bank being caught in a corner where they're like, but we think this is actually going to be pro-poor. In fact, they argue that something similar to this has happened back in 2017, that when the Reserve Bank said that our inflation target is going to be, at 4.5%. So they're saying that that's not different. And I think maybe they were trying to put pressure then on the finance minister to just finally make a decision, because he's not making one. And the conversation has been going on for too long.
All right, you'll unpack it all on the Clement Manyatela Show between 9 and 12.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for general practitioners, dentists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Kuveni.
It's so nice to know the business risk is taken care of by Business Outsurance. The call center was just a dream to deal with. Very seamless, easy experience, and it just feels like the people we're talking to on the other line understand our needs.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Meet Uminatsi Nyaba, a powerhouse storyteller and after graduate who earned her Bachelor of Arts in Motion Picture cum laude. From a young age, Uminatsi knew that storytelling was her calling, but financial hurdles nearly dimmed her dream. That all changed when she received the Hollywood Foundation's Future is Bright bursary. It lifted a huge weight off her shoulders and gave her the freedom to focus fully on her craft. She began making bold moves and creating incredible work, including her award-winning short film, which was selected for international screenings. Thanks to the Hollywood Foundation, Uminati is ready to tell the stories the world needs to hear. Follow the Hollywood Foundation social pages for more stories of stars on the rise. Sizofunda sonke.
As a business owner, would you rather deal with stacks of slips at the end of each day or have recons done instantly? Introducing Yoko Counter, the new all-in-one payments and points of sale system that removes the guesswork, the paperwork, and the time drain. Taking your business from chaos to control, guesswork to clarity, giving you back time to focus on what truly matters. Visit yoko.com today to find out more about the simple yet powerful out-of-the-box solution with free built-in point of sale software.
Step inside the business of sport and entertainment with Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Albuser at the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass. You can explore Netflix's rise in the streaming wars, the billion-dollar world of Grand Auto Theft 6, the strategies of global sport leaders. It's on the 11th and 12th of August at the Maslow Hotel in Sandton. Book your seat now at Ticketmaster.
Let's talk.
We're
Good
listening.
morning, Mr. Bingwa and 702 lenders. The word I like from the Gen Alphas is sus, or suspicion or suspicious. This one looks sus. That's cool. Thanks for a great show. Tempo in Boxburg.
Morning, Bongani. Oh, don't get us started on how these kids talk. Now there's another movement called the Quellas. You know, they be saying things like, hey, Bongani, we peep you. You're quelling there. Quelling on the highest level, on the 702 level there. We are aware of you. I mean, they can have a whole conversation. You would never know what they're trying to say to you.
The what? The Quellas. Goodness me, we're talking, if you've just joined us, about words used by Gen Alphas. So if you've got a kid in your life born between the year 2010 and 2024, there's a whole language and slang that they use that leaves the parentals, as we are called, we are the parentals, simply out of the loop. The Quellas. The Quellas, you say. Wow.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So this Women's Month, we're not just celebrating the stories of women, we also want to listen to young women writing them. And so the South African Literary Awards is turning 20, and they want to shine a spotlight on a new generation of authors, from poets and lecturers to bloggers, children's books creators, young women shaping identity, memory, and culture one page at a time. They're looking for fresh fearless and essential voices. I think it's time to honor that literary girlfriend and girlhood we never knew we needed. Hey, we're joined now by the South African Literary Awards, the SALA Executive Director, who is Murakabe Siakwa, who joins us now on the line. A very good morning to you, and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Dr. Bingwa, and how are you doing? And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for coming on. I was just talking about perhaps younger authors than what you are looking at, Gen Alphas. But firstly, happy 20th anniversary.
Oh, thank you very much. We are so excited about that. It's been 20 years in the works, and it's quite great.
So you're putting a spotlight on young women this Women's Month. Why is that important?
It's very important that it being for South African literature, in fact, the world literature, to recognize and promote the work that young persons, especially young women writers, are doing. Because as you know, you and I, as males, we're a tiny minority, and we can't continue to pretend to be representing the world. Women are more than half of society generally. So it's very important that their voices come out quite strong.
We often look at this kind of recognition and spotlight as a look back in memory. But it's also equally important to look ahead, to look at what is to come. And the young people are very much at the center of shaping that conversation.
Indeed. Especially the question of memory, but more so question of identity. I mean, we've got young writers like Lewam Masango, who are doing pretty well in that space, looking at starting with kids, writing for children. If you read, for instance, a debut book, I'm talking about label now, Pumi's Magic Beats, it coincides with, for instance, that great and big revolution looking at the identity in South Africa, looking at her, the South African general look at the inwelers Abantu, how that has posed a threat to some sectors of society, but in a very lovely way, bring it about, looking at a child's identity and promotion of the need to be yourself through things like fashion, through things like your hair.
It's also important, I think, that some of these authors are working in indigenous languages, Sepedi, isiXhosa, even Nama, because you talk about identity. I think that's also crucial in terms of cultural continuity, if not even healing from our past.
Yes, it's very important. At our great writer Ngugi wa Thiong'o, has been doing and has done and said that to be able to really express yourself and teach the world about the new things, you do that best from your own mother tongue. And I'm very excited, looking at Sala from the very beginning 20 years ago. We came out to say we recognize work in all South African official languages, and we've done that from poetry, short story, even creative non-fiction. That to do well, start at home. Charity begins at home.
What's your advice to young writers who want to write but who may feel that their stories are perhaps too ordinary or not important enough?
Well, I think nothing beats the adage that read and read and read. if you want to be a successful writer, read every and anything, especially from other writers. From there, like a musician, you get your own voice, your own musicality into the future.
All right. I mean, I think the best writers are voracious readers themselves. Happy 20th anniversary, the South African Literary Awards, looking back on that milestone. And it's been absolutely fantastic to look at all the things that have been achieved in these last 20 years.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of 702 Breakfast. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for the Friday edition. It's 9 o'clock. Ma Zenetoy.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwachube has officially published the first version, have been gazetted after months of discussions and calls from the Basic Education Portfolio Committee for Gwachube to finalize them. Parents, schools and members of the public